Close your eyes now and let the heavy curtains of the physical world drape softly shut. Allow the weight of the day to slide off your shoulders, dropping away like heavy garments you no longer need to wear. You're safe here. You're held within the gentle embrace of the night, suspended in a sanctuary of quietude where time no longer marches forward, but instead pools around you like a warm, still lake. There is no urgency in this space. There is only the rhythm of your own breathing, a slow and steady tide that rises and falls, pulling you deeper into a state of profound relaxation. I am the cosmic dreamer, your guide through the nebulas of imagination and the velvet void of sleep. Together, we're going to drift into a universe that is both simple and infinite, a world constructed of blocks and pixels, yet teeming with a spirit that feels as ancient as the earth itself. We're journeying to a place of perfect order, where the chaos of reality is replaced by the comforting geometry of cubes, a place where you have total control, and yet where you can simply wander aimlessly, letting the beauty of a procedurally generated horizon wash over you. Before we step into this blocky dreamscape, take a moment to visualize a soft, glowing light in the center of your chest. With every inhale, this light expands, warming you, loosening the knots in your muscles. With every exhale, the light softens, dimming into a twilight hue, signaling to your mind that it is time to rest. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands rest open and empty. You're ready to explore. You're ready to remember. You're ready to dream. Picture yourself hovering in a space that feels like a memory. Before a single block is broken or placed, there is the sensation of the beginning. It is the panoramic view, the slow, hypnotic rotation of a world waiting to be born. Imagine a camera lens, soft and slightly blurred, panning eternally across a landscape that is both familiar and new. You see the suggestion of a forest, the muted greens and browns blending together in a watercolor wash of digital nostalgia. There is a logo floating in the sky, carved from stone, heavy and permanent, yet the feeling is not one of weight, but of suspension. This spinning view is the portal. It is the threshold between the waking world and the world of creativity. Watch as the landscape turns degree by degree, never rushing, never stopping. It is a perpetual cycle of anticipation, a gentle invitation to step through the screen and into the grass. The motion is smooth, devoid of friction, lulling your eyes into a state of heaviness. You're watching the world breathe before you have even entered it, a silent promise that within this digital expanse, there is room for you to simply be. The blurriness of the background suggests that details do not matter yet. Only the atmosphere matters. It is a hazy, comfortable dream of a place, waiting for your presence to sharpen it into reality. As you drift downward from that hovering panorama, you feel your feet touch the ground. It is not hard pavement or cold tile, but a soft, grassy surface. You're standing in the shade of a great oak tree. Reach out with your mind's hand and touch the bark. In this world, the bark is not rough or chaotic. It is a pattern of comforting pixels, shades of cocoa and coffee, arranged in a predictable, soothing texture. You feel an instinct, a primal connection to this digital nature. You reach out to the trunk of the tree. There is a sound, rhythmic and dull, a gentle thumping that resonates with the beating of a slow heart. Pop. The wood yields to you. It does not splinter or break violently. It transforms. It becomes a floating cube, a gift from the world to you. This is the first ritual of this universe, the gathering of wood. It represents the beginning of shelter, the beginning of tools, the beginning of safety. Visualize the satisfaction of that transformation. The way the towering tree becomes a neat, manageable stack of timber in your pocket. The leaves above, no longer supported by the trunk, begin to decay, not with sadness, but with a gentle rustling, disappearing into the air and letting the sunlight filter through to the forest floor. The scent is of dry sawdust and fresh sap, clean and uncomplicated. You're gathering the building blocks of your dreams, one rhythmic tap at a time, and the simplicity of the task washes away the complex worries of your waking life. While you stand there, holding the fresh timber, a melody begins to fade in from the atmosphere. It is faint at first, like a memory surfacing from deep water. This is the music of the world, a series of piano notes that are so sparse, so delicate, that they seem to be played by the wind itself. The keys are struck with a ghost-like touch, creating a soundscape that is melancholic yet incredibly uplifting. It is a lullaby for the lonely explorer. Listen to the space between the notes. The silence is just as important as the sound. It swells gently, a wash of synthesized strings that mimics the rising of the sun or the setting of the moon. It is the soundtrack of solitude, but not isolation. It tells you that you are the custodian of this infinite world. The music does not demand your attention. It accompanies your breathing. It flows like a slow stream, meandering through the auditory cortex, smoothing out the jagged edges of your thoughts. It reminds you of childhood, of rainy afternoons, of a time when the world was magical and full of secrets. Let the piano carry you. Let the notes wrap around you like a warm blanket. There is no crescendo, no startling crash, only a continuous looping ribbon of calm that ties your heart to the peace of this blocky horizon. Guided by the piano, you look down at the ground beneath your feet. You're standing on blocks of earth, the most fundamental element of this universe. Visualize the texture of the dirt block. It is a deep, rich brown, topped with a layer of vibrant green grass that seems to glow with an inner life. You decide to dig, not for resources, but simply to feel the earth. The sound is different here. It is a soft, crumbling noise, a granular crunch that feels satisfyingly tactile. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The grass breaks away, revealing the honest dirt beneath. There is a humility to this material. It is soft, forgiving, and endlessly abundant. Imagine the smell of damp soil, of a garden after a light rain. You dig a small, shallow trench just to shape the world, to leave your mark. The earth moves easily for you. There is no resistance, no rocks to jar your hands, only the smooth removal of cubes creating a cozy hollow in the hillside. This dirt is the canvas upon which everything else is built. It is the foundation. Feel the grounding energy of it. It anchors you to this dreamscape, reminding you that even in a world of fantasy, there is a solid floor beneath you, holding you up, supporting your weight so you can let go completely. As you work the soil, you notice the light beginning to change. The sky, which was a piercing, cheerful blue, begins to deepen. We drift now into the phenomenon of the celestial cycle. The sun in this world is unique, a perfect square of blinding yellow radiance. It does not arc in a curve but moves with a steady linear grace across the dome of the sky. Watch it now as it begins its descent toward the western horizon. The colours of the sky shift and blend in distinct bands of pixels, from azure to indigo, from indigo to a soft burning orange, and finally to a deep royal purple. It is a sunset of mathematics and beauty. The shadows of the trees lengthen, stretching out across the grass like long dark fingers, cooling the world. There is a palpable sense of transition. The bustling energy of the day fades into the reflective quiet of the twilight. You watch the square sun dip below the edge of the world, swallowed by the distant mountains. And as it vanishes, the first stars appear, square pinpricks of white light scattered across a canvas of black. The moon rises, a pale glowing square that watches over the land. This cycle is eternal, reliable and rhythmic. It tells you that there is a time for activity and a time for rest. The night has come, not to frighten you, but to wrap the world in a blanket of stars. With the darkness settling in, a primal need for warmth arises. You reach into your inventory and pull out a torch. It is a simple stick topped with a cube of coal, but when you place it against the wall of your earthen shelter, it becomes a miracle. Click. A burst of light floods your small space. It is a warm orange glow, flickering with a gentle animation. Small particles of smoke drift upward, dissolving into the air. Visualize this circle of light. It is a sphere of safety. In this world, light is more than just illumination. It is protection. Where the light touches, nothing can harm you. The darkness is pushed back, held at bay by the crackling flame. Stare into the heart of the torch. The fire does not consume the wood. It burns eternally, a constant companion in the void. It casts dancing shadows against the dirt walls, making the small space feel intimate and secure. You are the keeper of the fire. You have created a haven of warmth in the cool expanses of the digital night. The sound of the torch is a low, steady hiss, like white noise, blocking out the silence of the outside world. You're safe here, bathed in the amber glow of your own making. In the centre of this illuminated sanctuary, you place a wooden box, the crafting table. This is the altar of creation. It is made of the oak you gathered earlier, its top surface smoothed and fitted with a grid of tools, a saw, a hammer, unspoken instruments of potential. When you approach it, the mind expands. You're no longer limited by what you can hold in your hands. You realize that you can combine the elements of the world to create something new. Visualize the grid. It is a puzzle waiting to be solved, a place where logic meets imagination. You place planks of wood here, a stick there, and suddenly a pickaxe appears, or a door, or a boat. The smell of fresh sawdust fills the air. There is a profound sense of agency here. You're not just a passive observer, you're an artisan. The crafting table represents the power to change your circumstances. It stands solid and sturdy in the corner of your room, a silent promise that whatever you need, you can build. It transforms the raw chaos of nature into the ordered utility of civilization. Run your hand over the smooth wooden top. It is the workspace of the dreamer, the place where ideas become tangible objects. Outside your shelter in the moonlit meadows, you hear a soft, wandering sound. Bah! It is the sound of the peaceful inhabitants of this world. Drifting through the grass are the sheep. They are blocky, fluffy clouds on legs, their wool thick and white, glowing softly in the moonlight. Picture them grazing. They lower their heads, and with a quick snipping sound, they eat the grass from a block of earth, turning it instantly into dirt. Then, miraculously, the wool grows back, the grass grows back. It is a cycle of abundance. They wander without worry, without destination. They are the embodiment of pastoral peace. To watch a sheep in this world is to understand that there is no hurry. They bump gently into one another. They look at you with wide, vacuous eyes that hold no judgment. Sometimes there are cows, black and white patterns moving slowly across the field, their deep mooing sound echoing across the hills. These creatures are your companions in solitude. They require nothing from you. They simply exist, populating the landscape with life, making the world feel less empty. Their presence is a comfort, a reminder that life flows on around you, simple and sweet, while you rest in your shelter. The urge to wander returns, and in your mind's eye, you step out the next morning to walk. You're walking across the biomes. This world is not one thing, it is everything. One moment you're strolling through a dense green forest, the leaves forming a canopy that dapples the sunlight on the forest floor. You walk further, and the grass turns a lush, vibrant jungle green. Vines hang from massive trees, and melons rest on the ground. Keep walking, and the air turns dry and warm. The grass fades to a yellowish tan. You're in a desert, vast dunes of sand stretching out to the horizon, cacti standing like silent sentinels. The sound of your footsteps changes with the terrain. Plop, plop on the grass, crunch, crunch on the sand, tap, tap on the stone. You climb a mountain, the air getting thinner, snow dusting the peaks. From here, you can see the world stretching out infinitely, a quilt of different climates stitched together seamlessly. There is a sense of awe at the variety, at the endless combinations of landscapes generated just for you. You can walk forever and never see the same view twice. It is a pilgrimage of discovery, a slow trek through a digital Eden that unrolls before you like a carpet. But the journey is tiring, and the sun begins to set once more. You return to your sanctuary, and there, in the corner, sits the most important object of all: the bed. It is simple, a frame of wood with a mattress of white wool and a blanket of red. It looks incredibly soft. In this world, the bed is not just furniture. It is a time machine. It is the ultimate magic. You approach it as the stars begin to twinkle outside. You feel a heaviness in your eyelids that matches the character on the screen. You lie down. The camera rotates, your view shifting sideways, the ceiling of your shelter filling your vision. The chat log whispers a message to you: sweet dreams. The screen begins to fade. The dark of the night outside speeds up, the monsters and the shadows and the cold are skipped entirely. You're cocooned in the red blanket, safe, warm and suspended in a moment of pure rest. The bed is the bridge to tomorrow. It is the permission you give yourself to stop, to let go of the controller, to let go of the keyboard, to let go of the day. You sink deeper into the wool, the pixels blurring into a soft haze as the world waits for you to wake up, whenever that may be. As you rise from that deep, wool-softened slumber, the world greets you with the crisp light of a new morning, and we turn our attention now to the foundation that lies beneath the grass. Beneath the soft earth, beneath the roots of the trees, lies the skeletal structure of this universe: stone. Visualize the grey expanse of it. It is cool to the touch, a smooth, neutral grey that speaks of permanence and age. When you dig past the dirt, your tool meets this harder resistance with a sharp, rhythmic clink. Breaking a block of stone is a transformation. The smooth, raw rock shatters and reforms into something new: cobblestone. Picture the texture of cobblestone. It is rougher, a patchwork of stones fitted together with the mortar of the earth. It represents the first step of civilization. Holding a block of cobblestone is like holding a piece of history. It feels heavy, substantial, and incredibly reliable. You begin to stack them, one atop the other, and you realize that while wood is warm and living, stone is the shield. It is the material of castles, of fortresses, of walls that will stand against the wind and the rain for eternity. There is a profound sense of security in surrounding yourself with these grey blocks. They absorb the silence. They create a barrier between you and the vastness, enclosing you in a space that feels fortified. Run your hand along the rough surface of a cobblestone wall in your mind. Feel the bumps and ridges, the cool temperature radiating from the rock. It grounds you. It reminds you that you are building something that will last, a monument to your presence in this digital timeline. From this cold, sturdy stone, we craft the heart of the home, an object that introduces the element of heat: the furnace. You arrange 8 blocks of cobblestone in a circle on your crafting table, and suddenly you have an oven of stone. You place it against the wall, and it sits there, dark and cold, waiting for a spark. This is the vessel of transformation. It is the alchemist's crucible of the blocky world. You open its interface, a simple grey menu that invites you to input potential. You're about to change the state of matter. To wake the furnace, you need fuel, and so we drift to the memory of mining, searching for the black gold known as coal. Deep within the stone layers you see them, blocks speckled with jagged black flecks. This is the fossilized energy of the ancient world. When you mine it, the coal drops into your hand, dark and dusty, humming with dormant heat. You place this coal into the bottom slot of the furnace. You place a raw log, or perhaps a block of sand in the top. Then the magic happens. A fire ignites. It is not a wild, destructive fire, but a contained, domestic glow. The front of the furnace lights up, casting a flickering, warm orange light across the floor of your shelter. Listen to the sound. A low, continuous roar, a cozy crackling that signifies work is being done. You don't have to labour, the furnace labours for you. You can stand back and watch the arrow on the screen slowly fill up with white, a visual progress bar of purification. The room feels warmer now. The cold grey of the stone is softened by the dancing firelight. It is the smell of baking, of smelting, of industry tempered by comfort. You are mastering the elements, turning the raw resources of the wild into the refined tools of survival, all while you simply stand and bask in the heat. As you stand by the warmth of your furnace, the light outside the window begins to change, but not because of the night. The sky turns a heavy, saturated grey. The clouds, usually white and fluffy, descend and darken, and then it begins. Rain. In this world, rain is a vertical curtain of blue lines, falling straight down from the heavens to the earth. It is a distinct, mesmerising weather event. It does not come with wind that blows it sideways. It is a perfect mathematical downpour. Listen to the sound of the rain. It is a dense white noise, a steady shh that blankets the entire world. It washes away the music, washes away the footsteps of animals, leaving only the sound of falling water. There is a deep primal comfort in being indoors when it rains. You look out through the opening of your shelter and watch the droplets hit the ground, splashing in tiny blue particles. The ground darkens as it gets wet. The leaves of the trees drip. The fires of the outside world are extinguished, but your torch and your furnace burn on. The contrast between the wet, cold world outside and your dry, warm sanctuary inside creates a feeling of intense gratitude. Higa, as some might call it. The rain tells you there is no need to go out, no need to explore right now. It is nature's permission to stay inside, to organise your chests, to watch the fire, to simply exist within the safety of your walls while the storm cleanses the world above. When the rain clears and the sun returns, you feel the urge to dig deeper, and for this, you need the extension of your own hand, the pickaxe. Visualising the pickaxe is visualising the rhythm of the game itself. It is a curved tool, perhaps made of wood at first, then stone, and eventually iron. It swings in a repetitive arc, a metronome for your labour. Swing, hit, crack, swing, hit, crack. The motion is hypnotic. It occupies the hands so the mind can wander. There is a hierarchy to these tools that mirrors the progress of your soul. The wooden pickaxe is humble, slow, breaking quickly. The stone pickaxe is reliable, the workhorse of your inventory. But as you use them, you feel the wear and tear. You see the durability bar slowly decrease, a green line turning to red. This is not a cause for alarm, but a reminder of use, of effort spent. The sound of the pickaxe striking stone is a crisp tink, tink, tink that echoes in the tunnels. It is the heartbeat of the miner. You're carving your way through the earth block by block, creating order out of the solid chaos. Every block removed is a choice you have made. Every tunnel created is a path that didn't exist before you arrived. The pickaxe is your key to the underworld, the instrument with which you sculpt the very geography of your dreams. And what are you looking for with this rhythmic swinging? You're looking for the beige flecks of iron ore. Hidden amongst the endless grey stone are these rare treasures. Spotting a vein of iron is a moment of quiet thrill. The texture of the block is speckled with apricot-coloured stones, standing out against the monochrome rock. It represents the next stage of your existence. Iron is strength. Iron is longevity. When you find it, you do not just find one. You usually find a cluster, a family of blocks huddled together in the dark. You mine them, and they do not drop the finished metal, but the raw ore, heavy and unrefined. You must take this back to your furnace, completing the cycle of gathering and refining. Imagine the weight of the iron in your pack. It feels denser than wood, colder than coal. It promises a future where you are safer, where your tools last longer, where you can shear sheep and haul water. Finding iron is the moment the survivalist becomes the master. It is the reward for your patience, a gift from the deep earth that says, "You have dug well, and here is your prize." The satisfaction of clearing a vein of iron, leaving a clean hollow in the cave wall, is a cleaning of the mind, a perfect, tidy accomplishment. This pursuit of ore leads you naturally into the caves. In the waking world, caves can be frightening, but here they are wondrous pockets of negative space. We drift now into the sensation of spelunking. You break through a wall of stone and suddenly the view opens up. You're standing on a ledge, looking down into a vast natural cathedral underground. The air here is stale and cool. The sound changes completely. The cheerful piano of the surface is replaced by a low, ambient drone, a reverberation that speaks of hollow spaces. There is a beauty in the darkness here. You toss a torch down into the abyss, watch it tumble, end over end, until it lands on the floor far below, creating a sudden island of light in the shadow. Then another torch, and another. You're painting the dark with light. You navigate these natural tunnels, finding waterfalls that flow from the ceiling into underground lakes. The water here is dark and mysterious. You find ravines, cracks in the world that expose the layers of geology like the pages of a book. There is no weather here, no day or night cycle. Time stands still in the caves. It is just you and the silent stones. You are the first explorer to ever set foot in this pocket of air. It has waited millions of simulated years for your arrival. There is a reverence in that thought. You're not invading, you're discovering. You're filling the empty map with knowledge. In the bottom of these caves, or perhaps back on the surface under the bright sun, you encounter the fluid mechanics of water. Water in this universe is a miracle of blue. It is bright, translucent, and moves with a heavy, viscous flow. When you place a bucket of water, it spreads, creating a flowing river that pushes everything gently in its direction. Imagine stepping into a pool of this water. The moment your head goes under, the world changes. The sounds of the surface are muffled, replaced by a bubbling underwater quiet. The light turns blue and hazy. Your movement slows down. You're weightless, suspended in the liquid. If you press the jump button, you drift upward, fighting the gentle gravity, rising like a bubble to the surface. Swimming is a dance of buoyancy. You can float effortlessly, letting the current carry you. You can watch the squid drift by, their tentacles propelling them with lazy pulses. Water is life. It turns the dry sand into fertile clay. It cools the lava. It saves you from a fall. Visually, the water texture is a shifting, animated pattern of blues that is incredibly soothing to watch. It ripples and flows, never stopping, a perpetual motion machine that invites you to wash away your fatigue. Near the water, often lining the shores of the rivers and oceans, lies the sand. It is pale yellow, grainy, and unlike the dirt or stone, it is affected by gravity. If you dig the bottom block of a sand dune, the blocks above it cascade down, settling with a soft shifting sound. It is fluid earth. Walking on sand produces a distinct crunch sound, dry and gritty. But the true magic of sand lies in what it becomes. You take this grainy material, place it in your furnace, and under the intense heat, it melts and clarifies into glass. Glass is the invisible barrier. It is the material of observation. You take these clear blocks and place them in the walls of your shelter. Suddenly, the claustrophobia of the stone walls vanishes. You can see the sunset. You can see the creepers wandering in the distance, but they cannot touch you. You are connected to the beauty of the world, but protected from its dangers. Imagine building a skylight in your roof. You can lie in your bed and look up at the square moon and the twinkling stars. Glass lets the light in. It allows you to claim a piece of the landscape as your view. It frames the chaotic nature outside into a living painting, turning the wild forest into a serene backdrop for your domestic life. Finally, we turn to the soil to nurture life. We drift to the concept of farming, specifically the cultivation of wheat. This is the slowest, most patient magic of all. You take a hoe, a tool of peace, and you till the earth near the water. The dirt turns dark and furrowed, ready to receive. You place the tiny green seeds into the soil, and then you wait. There is no rushing the harvest. You must let the sun rise and set. You must let the rain fall. Slowly, tiny green shoots appear. They grow taller, pixel by pixel, turning from a tender green to a rich golden yellow. A field of fully grown wheat is a sea of gold, waving gently in the wind. The visual is one of abundance and home. When you walk through the ripe wheat, it rustles softly against your legs. You harvest it, and the stalks break with a satisfying sound, giving you the wheat and more seeds to replant the cycle. You take this wheat to your crafting table and line 3 bundles in a row. They merge to become bread. The smell of fresh bread, the symbol of sustenance. You have not just survived, you have thrived. You have worked with the land to create food. There is a deep ancestral satisfaction in this. The farm is a promise that you will not go hungry. It is a grid of order and growth in a wild world, a golden garden that glows under the noon sun, telling you that here, in this place, life is good. From the golden embrace of the wheat fields, we drift naturally toward the gentle giants that roam the edges of your farm. These are the cows. Visualize their blocky, comforting forms, a patchwork of stark white and deep obsidian black. They move with a lumbering slowness that suggests they have nowhere to be and nothing to fear. When you approach them with a stalk of wheat in your hand, they turn their heads, their large dark eyes fixing on you with mild interest. Listen to the sound they make, a deep, resonant moo that vibrates through the air like a low cello note. It is a sound of the countryside, echoing off the hills, grounding the landscape in a feeling of pastoral life. These creatures are more than just part of the scenery. They are providers of essential comforts. Think of the milk they offer. You approach with a bucket, and with a simple interaction, the bucket is filled with a bright white liquid. In this world, milk is a purity that washes away ailments. If you are poisoned or weary, a drink of this milk clears your status, wiping the slate clean, leaving you fresh and neutral. And then there is the leather. When the time comes, they provide this rugged, durable material. Visualize the texture of the leather in your inventory, rich, brown, and smelling of earth and tannery. It is a material of warmth, used to craft armor that hugs the body, a flexible second skin that offers the first layer of protection against the biting cold of the night. The presence of the herd, with their rhythmic chewing and slow wandering, adds a heartbeat to your homestead, a living reminder that you're not alone in this expanse. Wandering from the pasture to the water's edge, where the land meets the river, you encounter a different kind of growth, sugar cane. These are tall, sturdy reeds of vibrant lime green, growing in thick clusters right at the boundary of the water. They shoot upward, block by block, reaching for the sun, often taller than you are. The wind rustles through them, creating a dry, papery whisper that blends with the lapping of the water. To walk through a dense patch of sugar cane is to be momentarily lost in a green maze, the outside world obscured by the thick stalks. Harvesting sugar cane is one of the most satisfying auditory experiences in this universe. When you strike the bottom stalk, the entire column above it tumbles down. Pop, pop, pop. It is a cascading sound, light and hollow, like bamboo wind chimes falling to the ground. You gather the reeds, and they feel light in your hands, smooth and tubular. You replant them instantly, pressing them into the sand or dirt right at the water's edge, ensuring the cycle continues. They grow quickly, a constant, reliable crop that marks the passage of time. They define the riverbanks, adding verticality to the flat horizons of the water, standing as silent sentinels that mark the boundary between the solid earth and the fluid stream. With the sugarcane gathered, you return to your crafting table, your mind turning toward the preservation of thought. You strip the fibrous reeds, pressing and weaving them until they transform into paper. The resulting item is crisp, clean, and beige, a blank slate waiting for meaning. It creates a satisfying, shuffling sound as you stack the sheets, the friction of dry parchment. But paper alone is fragile. It drifts on the wind, so you combine it with the leather you gathered from the herd. 3 sheets of paper, 1 piece of leather. They bind together to form a book. Hold this book in your mind. It is a heavy, substantial object. The leather cover is smooth and cool, the pages within crisp and smelling of dust and potential. A book in this world is a symbol of higher learning, of civilization rising from the dirt. It represents the ability to record, to enchant, to remember. Even if you cannot read the squiggly lines on the texture, you know they contain the secrets of the universe. It is a dense cube of knowledge, a promise that there is more to this life than just survival. There is magic, there is history, and it is all contained within these bound pages. The crafting of a book is a quiet, intellectual act, a moment where the survivor becomes the scholar. But a single book is lonely. It needs a home. And so, you take your wood, the oak or birch planks you gathered at the very beginning, and you build a bookshelf. This is a transformation of space. You place the books into the wooden frame, and suddenly you have a block that exudes culture. The texture is intricate. Rows of colourful spines, red, blue, green and black, lined up in neat, orderly fashion. When you place these bookshelves in a room, the atmosphere changes instantly. The acoustic quality of the space seems to dampen, becoming quieter, more studious. Imagine building a library. You stack the bookshelves high, creating aisles of knowledge, walls lined with literature. The room feels cosy, enclosed, and safe. It smells of old paper and polished wood. This is not a place for running or fighting, it is a place for thinking. You place a chair in the corner, perhaps a small table with a lantern. The light reflects off the spines of the books. This space invites you to sit, to pause, to reflect on your journey. The bookshelf is the ultimate decoration of the settled mind. It says, "I have built a home strong enough to hold fragile things." It is a testament to the peace you have carved out of the wilderness. Drawn back to the tranquility of the water, you seek a moment of pure stillness. You craft a fishing rod, 3 sticks and 2 strings, a simple tool for a patient task. You stand on the edge of a dock, or perhaps on a quiet riverbank, the sun warming your back. You cast the line. Whoosh! The bobber flies through the air and lands with a gentle plop in the water, and then you wait. Fishing is the meditation of this world. There is nothing to do but watch the red and white bobber floating on the surface. It bobs gently with the current, creating tiny concentric ripples that expand and fade. The world slows down. You watch the clouds move. You listen to the music. You're not hunting. You're waiting for the world to come to you. Suddenly, you see a trail of bubbles rushing toward the hook. Particles of anticipation. Splash! The bobber is pulled under. You react, pulling back the line. A fish flies through the air, landing in your inventory with a wet flop. Maybe it's a raw salmon, pink and shimmering, or a clownfish, vibrant orange and white. Sometimes the ocean gives you gifts, a saddle, a name tag, a treasure from the deep. But the catch is secondary to the act. The rhythm of cast, wait, splash and catch is a loop of serenity, a perfect way to watch the sunset while the water laps gently at your feet. The water calls you to travel, to see what lies beyond the horizon. You take 5 wooden planks and shape them into a boat. It appears on the water, a small hollowed-out vessel of oak or spruce, bobbing invitingly. You step in, and your perspective shifts. You are lower now, sitting just above the waterline. You hold the oars. Row, row. The boat glides forward. The movement is smooth, sliding over the surface with very little friction. The sound of the boat is rhythmic and hypnotic. The wooden hull cutting through the water, the splash of the oars. You leave the shore behind. The trees become small dots, then vanish. You're alone on the open ocean. The water stretches out in every direction, a vast blue sheet of possibility. There is a profound sense of freedom here. You can go anywhere. You pass islands of sand, cliffs of stone, icebergs floating in cold seas. You are the captain of this tiny vessel drifting between continents. The boat is your safety raft, keeping you dry, carrying you effortlessly across the deep. If you stop rowing, you drift with the momentum, sliding silently over the depths, suspended between the blue sky and the blue sea, a solitary voyager in a world of water. As you navigate the shallower rivers, you look down through the clear water and spot grey, smooth patches on the riverbed. This is clay. It looks distinct from the sand and the dirt, a heavy, neutral grey that seems soft and malleable. You dive down to gather it. Breaking clay underwater is slow and heavy. The water resists your arm, but the clay yields with a wet, squelching sound. It breaks not into blocks, but into balls of raw clay, damp and cool in your hands. This material feels primitive and artistic. You surface for air, your lungs filling with relief, holding the heavy clay. It represents potential structure. It is the mud of the river, waiting to be shaped. You can combine the balls back into blocks to store them, creating smooth grey cubes that look like modern art. But the true destiny of clay lies in the fire. It is a material that craves the heat to become its true self. Gathering it feels like foraging, a treasure hunt in the riverbeds, diving and surfacing, in a rhythm of breath and discovery. You take this grey clay back to your furnace, the heart of your home. You place the wet lumps into the fire. The heat works its alchemy, cooking the moisture out, hardening the substance. The result is a brick, not a block, but a single, heavy, red brick. It is a stark contrast to the natural world. It is a deep, rusty red, precise and manufactured. When you combine these bricks into a block, you create the most domestic material in the game, the brick block. Visualize a wall made of this. It implies a different level of civilization than cobblestone or wood. A brick house looks warm, sturdy and refined. It reminds you of old cottages, of fireplaces, of chimneys puffing smoke into the winter air. Building with brick is satisfying because of the visual repetition, the small, orderly rectangles interlocking perfectly. It creates a pattern of stability. A floor of brick feels solid beneath your feet. A fireplace of brick contains the fire safely. It brings a touch of industry and elegance to your shelter, turning a survival hut into a proper home. Outside your brick walls, the world is not just green and brown. It is painted with the delicate brushstrokes of flowers. You walk through a meadow and see them, small bursts of vibrant colour scattered across the grass. There is the dandelion, a cheerful drop of yellow sun. There is the poppy, a striking splash of red on a slender green stem. There is the blue orchid, rare and swamp-dwelling, a pale blue ghost. To walk through a field of flowers is to walk through a painting. You can break them instantly. They are fragile, offering no resistance. Snip. You hold the flower in your hand. It is a token of beauty, serving no survival purpose other than to make the world lovely. You can place them in a clay pot, bringing a bit of the wild garden onto your windowsill. They are reminders that this world is generated with an eye for aesthetics. They sway gently in the wind, a pixelated dance of petals. You gather an armful, reds, yellows, blues, pinks, whites, a bouquet of digital flora that smells of pollen and spring. They soften the edges of the blocky world, adding detail and delicacy to the rugged terrain. But these flowers are not just for looking. They contain the essence of colour itself. You place a flower on your crafting grid, and it dissolves into dye. The yellow dandelion becomes yellow powder. The red poppy becomes rose-red dye. You find lapis lazuli deep in the mines for blue, cactus for green, ink sacs from the squid for black. You now possess the palette of the universe. With these dyes, you turn your attention back to the sheep. This is where you become the painter of life. You approach a white sheep with red dye. Poof! The sheep is instantly transformed. Its wool turns a deep, vibrant crimson. It wanders away, a red cloud on legs, seemingly unbothered by its makeover. You can dye them blue, green, pink, purple. You can create a rainbow herd grazing in your pasture, and when you shear them, you harvest this coloured wool. You take this soft, dyed wool and craft carpets, thin layers of softness to cover the rough stone or cold wood of your floor. You create a rug of royal blue in your library, a runner of red in your hallway. The sound of walking on wool is the softest sound in the world, a muffled thud, thud, thud that absorbs your footsteps. You're quieting your home, you're insulating yourself from the hardness of reality. You can also recraft your bed, dyeing the blankets to match your mood. A green bed to match the forest, a black bed to match the night. Dyes allow you to imprint your personality onto the world, to say, I am here and I choose this colour. It is the ultimate expression of creative freedom, soft and vibrant and entirely yours, from the soft, hushed atmosphere of your carpeted sanctuary, where the colours of the wool reflect your inner peace. You feel a desire to share this quiet life with another. We drift now to the forests, specifically the taiga and the woods, where the shadows of the trees play tricks on the eyes. Here you find the wolf. In its wild state, it is a creature of neutral greys and whites, a spirit of the untamed wilderness that watches you from a distance. There is a primal beauty in the way they move, a curious tilt of the head, a bushy tail that wags tentatively. They are the lonely wanderers of the woods, much like you. To befriend this creature is one of the most heartwarming rituals in this universe. You do not use a leash or a net, you offer a gift. You hold out a bone, a remnant of the night, offering it with an open palm. The wolf approaches, hesitant at first, sniffing the air. You wait. Trust is not instant. You offer another. And then, in a sudden burst of affection, red hearts float up into the air, the universal symbol of love. The wild grey wolf sits, and a collar appears around its neck. By default it is red, matching the roses of the forest, but with your dyes, you can change it to blue, green, or gold, marking this companion as your own. Now, you're no longer walking alone. Listen to the sound of its paws pattering behind you on the grass, a soft, rhythmic drumming that follows your every step. If you stop, it stops. If you run, it runs. When you return home, it sits by the fire, its tail wagging, a loyal guardian watching the door while you sleep. The presence of the dog turns a shelter into a home, adding the warmth of a breathing, living soul to your blocky abode. The bone that bonded you to your wolf holds another secret, a magic that accelerates the very flow of time. When you grind these bones down, they become a fine, white powder known as bone meal. This substance is the concentrated essence of growth. It is a sparkle of life that you hold in your hand. You walk out to your garden, where the crops are just tiny green shoots, barely poking through the soil. You do not want to wait for the suns of many days to pass. You sprinkle the white dust over the wheat, visualize the effect, a sudden burst of white particles, a sound like a shimmering chime, and poof, the crop explodes into full maturity instantly. It is a miracle of nature speeded up. You can walk through a flat, grassy plain and sprinkle bone meal on the ground, and instantly, tall grass and flowers spring up from the earth, turning a barren lawn into a lush, overgrown meadow. It feels like you are a gardener with the touch of a god, able to command the earth to bloom on a whim. The texture of the powder is chalky and light, drifting on the wind, but its power is heavy. It connects the end of life, the bone, to the beginning of life, the plant, completing a circle that keeps the world green and vibrant. This magic of growth brings our attention to the sentinels of the landscape, the trees. You have cut them down for wood, but now we focus on the sapling. It is a small, fragile thing, a miniature tree in a pot that you hold in your hand. When a tree's leaves decay, they drop these saplings, little promises of the future. You plant one in the dirt. It looks small, vulnerable against the vast sky, but the potential within it is massive. There are different families of trees, each with its own personality. The oak is the reliable friend, growing with a chaotic, twisting canopy. The birch is the elegant aristocrat with its paper-white bark and black spots, growing straight and tall with pale green leaves. The spruce is the dark, brooding giant of the taiga, its wood a deep, rich chocolate colour, its needles sharp and piney. And the jungle tree, a titan that can grow 4 blocks thick, reaching so high it touches the clouds, covered in vines that you can climb like ladders. Replanting a forest is a quiet duty. You walk the land, placing saplings in a grid, designing a future forest. Over time, or with a touch of bone meal, they erupt into solid wood and leaf. The sound of a tree growing is a sudden rustle, a displacement of air as matter materializes where there was once nothing. To stand in a forest you planted yourself, the shade cooling the ground, is to feel a deep sense of ownership and stewardship over the land. In the darker, damper corners of these forests, or deep within the shade of the giant spruce trees, you find the mushrooms. They are the quiet dwellers of the shade. There is the brown mushroom, flat and wide like a pancake, and the red mushroom, tall with white spots, looking like it sprang from a fairy tale. They do not crave the sun like the wheat. They thrive in the dim light. They grow on the forest floor, small and unassuming, easily missed if you are running. But these fungi offer a specific kind of comfort. You gather them, their texture soft and spongy, and you combine them with a wooden bowl. The result is mushroom stew. Unlike the dry crunch of bread or the chewing of steak, the stew is a liquid warmth. Visualize holding the bowl in your hands. It is steaming, a savoury, earthy broth that smells of the deep forest and rain-soaked soil. Drinking it produces a slurping sound, a noise of hearty nourishment. It is the perfect meal for a rainy day or a deep cave expedition. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you find the giant mushrooms, massive structures the size of trees, with stalks of white and caps of red or brown skin. You can climb them, standing on top of a giant toadstool looking out over the dark forest, feeling like a tiny creature in a world of giants. They add a sense of whimsy and surrealism to the landscape, a reminder that this world follows dream logic. To find the most exotic materials, we must turn to the meeting point of opposites. We drift to the deep underground where water meets lava. When the fluid blue of the water flows over the stationary heat of a lava source, a chemical reaction occurs. A hiss of steam, a puff of smoke, and the lava hardens instantly into obsidian. This is the deepest, darkest stone in the world. It is purple-black, smooth as glass, yet harder than diamond. To mine obsidian requires patience that borders on meditation. You must use your strongest diamond pickaxe. You stand there, holding the button, chipping away at the glass-like surface. Crack, crack, crack. It takes a long time. The block resists you. It demands that you slow down. It is stubborn and ancient. But when it finally breaks with a heavy, high-pitched tink, you collect a block of immense power. It feels heavy in your inventory, dense with gravity. Obsidian is the material of the void. It absorbs light. You gather enough of it to build a frame, a rectangle standing upright, a doorway to nowhere. The black frame stands stark against the natural stone of the cave, a monument to artificial geometry. It looks like a picture frame waiting for a painting. You stand before this obsidian frame with a flint and steel in your hand. You strike the metal against the stone. A spark flies. Fire catches in the bottom of the frame, but it does not just burn, it transforms. The center of the frame fills with a swirling purple vortex. This is the nether portal. It is a curtain of violet light, twisting and turning like liquid smoke. It emits a sound, a low oscillating hum, a warping of space-time that vibrates deep in your chest. Voop, voop, voop. It is mesmerizing to watch. Small purple particles drift off it, floating away like magic dust. You step into the purple light. The world around you begins to wobble. The screen twists. You're in the transition, the space between dimensions. You feel a sensation of nausea that is quickly replaced by a sudden shift in atmosphere. You have left the overworld, you have arrived in the nether, but fear not. In this sleep journey, the nether is not a place of danger, but a place of intense dry heat and geological wonder. The sky here is not blue, but a deep cavernous red, like the inside of a gemstone. There is no sun, yet the world is dimly lit by a pervasive ambient glow. It is a massive underground cavern that stretches infinitely, a world without a sky, only ceilings of stone. The ground beneath your feet changes. It is no longer dirt or stone, but netherrack. Visualize this material. It is a soft, fleshy red stone. Walking on it produces a distinct sound, not a crunch, but a soft, squishy thud, like walking on packed clay or dried meat. It is fragile. Your pickaxe tears through it like a hot knife through butter. The ease of mining here is satisfying, a stark contrast to the hard stone of the world above. You can carve vast tunnels in seconds. The air is thick with red fog, obscuring the distance, making the world feel intimate and enclosed. Rivers of lava flow in slow, viscous cascades from the ceiling, thick orange falls that provide the heat and the light. It is a sauna of a world, dry, hot, and wrapped in a hue of eternal sunset. High up on the ceiling of this red cavern, clinging like stalactites, are clusters of glowstone. They are the stars of the underworld. These blocks shine with a brilliant golden luminescence. They crackle softly with energy. You build a pillar of soft netherrack to reach them. When you break a block of glowstone, it shatters with the sound of breaking glass, raining down bright yellow dust. This dust, glowstone dust, is concentrated light. You gather it in handfuls, feeling the warmth radiating from the golden powder. You can recombine it to reform the block, creating a lamp that needs no air, no fuel, no torch. It is a permanent sunblock. You take this back to your home in the overworld and place it in your ceiling. The light it casts is warmer and brighter than a torch. It feels electric, magical. It reminds you of the heat of the nether, a captured piece of that other dimension brought back to comfort you in the cold nights of the regular world. It is a souvenir of your interdimensional travel, a golden lantern that hums with a faint otherworldly energy. While exploring the vast red landscapes, or perhaps back in the deep caves of the overworld, you encounter another metal, gold. Finding gold is a visual treat. The ore is stone speckled with flecks of pure butter yellow metal. It looks soft and regal. When you smelt it, you get gold ingots, heavy bars of shining yellow. In this universe, gold is not for fighting. A golden sword is soft and breaks quickly. A golden pickaxe vanishes after a few uses. No, gold is for refinement. It is for clockwork. You take 4 gold ingots and a speck of redstone dust to craft a clock. This beautiful circular device fits in the palm of your hand. Its face is half blue for day and half black for night, with a sun and moon that rotate slowly in real time. Even when you are deep underground, sealed in a cave with no view of the sky, you can look at your clock. You can see the tiny sun moving across the golden dial. You know when it is safe to surface. You know that time is still passing up above. The clock is a grounding artifact, a connection to the celestial cycle when you are buried in the dark. It ticks silently, a golden compass of time, reassuring you that the sun will rise again. Finally, we turn our minds to the concept of momentum and travel, the industrial rhythm of rails and minecarts. You take your iron and sticks and lay down a track. It looks like a ladder lying flat on the ground. You place piece after piece, creating a silver ribbon that winds through your tunnels, over your hills, and across your bridges. You can build a path that connects your home to your mine, or your castle to the village. You place a minecart on the tracks. It is a small iron tub on wheels. You step inside and give it a nudge. The journey begins. Clack, 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 clack. The sound of the wheels on the metal rails is one of the most rhythmic, hypnotic sounds in the world. It is a steady, mechanical heartbeat. You pick up speed. The world blurs past you. You're no longer walking, you're gliding. You can let go of the controls and just ride. You fly through tunnels, the torches whipping past like streaks of light. You crest a hill and rush down the other side, the wind in your face. It is a roller coaster of your own design. The minecart invites you to be a passenger in your own world, to take a tour of your creations without effort. It is the joy of motion, the clickety-clack of progress, carrying you smoothly to your destination, while you simply sit back and enjoy the ride. To power these rails, to open doors without touching them, to create life in the machine, we discover redstone. Deep in the earth you find ore that glows when you touch it. It emits a faint ruby red light. When you mine it, you get redstone dust. This is the blood of the machine. It is a grainy red powder that you can sprinkle on the ground. It forms a line, a wire of dust that connects one block to another. Redstone is the concept of energy. It is the spark. You place a lever on a wall. You run a line of red dust from the lever to a lamp. You pull the lever. Click. The dust lights up, turning a bright, energized red. The signal travels instantly down the line. The lamp turns on. You have created a circuit. You have harnessed electricity. The sound of redstone is a subtle sizzle, a hum of potential. You can make doors that open automatically when you step on a plate. You can make note blocks that play music. It is the logic within the magic. Laying down a line of redstone is like drawing a vein of power. It lies dormant until you flip the switch, and then the energy flows, bringing your static structure to life with a satisfying mechanical purpose. It is the nervous system of your world, waiting for your command to spark into action. The hum of the redstone wire, that vibrating pulse of energy you have laid across the floor, seeks a destination, a purpose beyond mere illumination. It seeks a voice. And so, we drift to the concept of the note block. You place this wooden box at the end of your red dust line. It looks like a crate of instruments waiting to be played. When the signal hits it, bing, a sound is released into the air. It is a single perfect note, but the magic lies in the tuning. You stand over the block and tap it gently. With every tap the pitch rises, a chromatic scale climbing higher and higher, changing colours in the auditory spectrum. You're tuning the world. The sound changes depending on what lies beneath the block. Place it on wood, and it is a double bass, deep and resonant. Place it on stone, and it is a bass drum, a thumping heartbeat. On sand, a snare. On glass, a crisp click. You realize you can compose a symphony. Visualize laying out a long line of these blocks separated by repeaters that delay the signal. You flip a switch, and a wave of sound travels down the line. A melody ripples through your hallway. It is music born from geometry, a song constructed of wood and wire. You're no longer just a builder of walls. You're a composer of atmosphere, filling the silence of your corridors with a tune that plays only for you, a rhythmic reminder of your ingenuity. But sometimes, you wish to hear a melody that you did not compose, a song from the ancients. You craft a wooden box with a slit of diamond in the top, the jukebox. This is the keeper of memories. In your travels through deep dungeons or abandoned mineshafts, you might find a flat, round object, a music disc. It is vinyl, but heavier, feeling like a relic of a lost civilization. Some are black, some green, some gold. You hold the disc in your hand, feeling the grooves of the recording. You approach the jukebox and slide the disc into the slot. There is a mechanical whir, the drop of a needle, and then the room fills with sound. It might be a cheerful, bouncing tune that makes you want to jump. It might be a haunting, atmospheric ballad that speaks of loneliness and vast spaces. The music of the disc overrides the ambient piano of the world. It centers the emotion of the room around this wooden box. You sit in your chair, the fire crackling in the furnace, the rain falling outside, and you listen to this recorded track. It is a moment of pure, passive enjoyment. The music spins, weaving a spell of nostalgia for a time you never knew, grounding you in the present moment through the power of a simple spinning melody. As the record fades out, the silence returns, but it is different now. It draws your attention to the window, where the rain has turned into something softer, slower. We drift to the cold biomes, to the serenity of snow. In this world, snow is not wet or slushy. It is a pristine layer of white perfection. It falls from the grey sky in gentle flakes, silencing the landscape. When you walk out into a snowy tundra, the sound of your footsteps changes completely. Gone is the clip-clop of stone or the soft thud of dirt. It is replaced by a satisfying crunch, crunch, crunch. It is the sound of compression, of fresh powder packing under your boots. The snow accumulates in layers. It covers the grass, the trees, the hills, smoothing out the jagged edges of the world until everything is a rolling sea of white. It is blindingly bright during the day, reflecting the sun, and eerily blue at night, reflecting the moon. You can gather this snow with a shovel, creating snowballs, harmless soft projectiles that burst into white puffs when thrown. You can pack them into blocks of snow, building an igloo, a shelter made of the cold itself. Inside the snow walls, it is surprisingly cozy. The white blocks catch the light of your torch, glowing from within like a lantern. To stand in a snow biome is to feel a hush fall over your soul, a deep wintry quiet that freezes time and anxiety, leaving only the beautiful, stark simplicity of the cold. In this white landscape, you spot a burst of colour, a vibrant deep orange nestled against the snow. It is the pumpkin. These vegetables grow in patches, round and squat, their orange skin a stark contrast to the pale world around them. They are the symbols of harvest and autumn, permanent fixtures of festivity. You approach one and notice the texture, ribbed and sturdy. You can harvest it whole, a heavy globe of produce. But the true magic of the pumpkin is its transformational nature. You take your shears, snip, snip, and you carve a face into it, 2 eyes and a jagged mouth. It is now a carved pumpkin. You can wear it on your head, viewing the world through the narrow cutout of its eyes, a mask that hides you from the gaze of the tall, dark Enderman. Or you can combine it with a torch to create a jack-o'-lantern. The inner light illuminates the orange flesh, making the face glow with a warm amber radiance. You place these glowing faces along your garden path or on your fence posts. They are friendly sentinels, grinning in the darkness, pushing back the night with a goofy, welcoming warmth. They remind you that even in a world of survival, there is room for playfulness and decoration. Contrasting the dry, cold pumpkin is its lush, tropical cousin found in the humid jungles, the melon. Picture a block that is a vibrant speckled green, hiding among the dense vines and massive trees. It looks heavy, filled with water and sugar. The melon is the fruit of the heat. When you break it, it does not drop as a block but bursts open into crescent-shaped slices. Visualize the glistening red flesh of the melon slice, dotted with black seeds. It looks incredibly refreshing. In the humidity of the jungle, where the air is thick and the parrots chatter, the melon is a hydration source. You eat a slice. Crunch, crunch, munch. It is a quick, crisp sound. It restores your hunger only a little, but it is abundant. You can fill your inventory with these slices. Farming them is a joy. The stem grows, curves over, and produces a fruit over and over again. A field of melons is a field of jewels, emerald green on the outside, ruby red on the inside. They represent the sweetness of the wild, a treat found in the dense overgrowth, offering a sugary respite from your trek through the tangled underbrush. Speaking of the jungle, we notice the green drapery that hangs from the canopy. Vines. These are the veins of the forest. They cling to the trunks of the giant trees, draping down like curtains of living emerald. They are soft and pass through, yet they hold the strength to support you. You can walk up to a tree covered in vines and simply start climbing. The sensation of climbing vines is slow and steady. You ascend into the canopy, the ground falling away beneath you. You are hidden within the leaves, wrapped in the foliage. Vines soften the hard angles of the blocks. They grow over ancient cobblestone ruins, suggesting the passage of time, the way nature reclaims what was built. You can harvest them with shears and place them on your own walls. Watch them grow downward, day by day, extending their reach until they touch the floor. They turn a stone fortress into a living ruin, adding a sense of history and organic beauty to your structures. They are the gentle creep of life, a slow-moving green tide that covers the world in a soft, leafy embrace. High in these jungle trees, hanging like lanterns from the wood, are the cocoa beans. They are small, orange-brown pods in their unripe stage, maturing into a deep, rich brown. They look like rugged, textured fruits of the bark. You break them, and they scatter into beans. These are not for eating raw, they are for the kitchen. They are the promise of comfort. You take these beans back to your home, to the warmth of your kitchen. You combine them with the wheat you grew in the sun. 2 handfuls of wheat, 1 handful of cocoa beans. The result is a batch of cookies. Visualize them, small, round, golden brown discs studded with chocolate chips. They are the ultimate comfort food of the Minecraft universe. They stack high in your hand. Eating them is a quick, nibbling sound. They do not offer the heartiness of a steak, but they offer joy. They are a treat. To have a jar of cookies on your counter is to say that you have moved beyond survival. You are now living for pleasure. You can share them. You can eat them while watching the rain. The smell of baking chocolate fills your mind, a scent of home and hearth that chases away the dampness of the jungle. But if cookies are a treat, the next creation is a celebration. We drift to the most complex culinary art, the cake. This is not a simple crafting recipe, it is a ritual. You need 3 buckets of milk from the cows, hauled with effort. You need sugar from the reeds by the river. You need wheat from the fields. You need an egg gathered from the chickens that cluck in the yard. You bring all these ingredients to the table. When you craft it, you do not get an item to hold. You get a block to place. You set the cake down on a table in the centre of your room. It is a masterpiece of pixel art. A white base with red berries on top looking soft and spongy. It stands there, inviting. You do not eat the whole thing at once. You take a slice. The cake visually changes. A wedge disappears, revealing the texture of the inside. It is a communal block. You can leave it there for days, taking a bite whenever you pass by. It represents abundance. It says, I have enough resources to make something frivolous and beautiful. It is the centerpiece of a feast, a symbol that you are safe enough to sit down and enjoy a dessert. With your hunger satisfied by the sweetness of the cake, you feel ready to seek out others. You leave your home and wander across the plains until you see something on the horizon, a structure you did not build, a tower of cobblestone, a path of gravel. You have found a village. The feeling of finding a village is one of profound relief and curiosity. You are not the only intelligent force in this world. You walk down the gravel paths that wind between the houses. The architecture is simple: wood and stone, torches on fence posts, gardens of carrots and potatoes. It is a functioning community. You hear the chime of a bell in the town square. You peek into the windows of the small huts. There are beds, tables, chests. It is a reflection of your own life, but generated by the spirit of the world. The village is a haven. It offers shelter without the need to build. You can walk the streets at sunset, watching the lights come on, feeling a sense of neighbourhood and society in the vast empty wilderness. And walking these paths are the villagers. They are distinct, peaceful beings, their arms folded into their sleeves in a posture of eternal patience. They wear robes of brown, white, or purple, denoting their profession. They do not speak in words, but in a language of tone. Humph. It is a nasal, resonant sound that is strangely communicative. You approach a villager, and a menu opens. They are traders. They want the emeralds you found in the mountains, or the wheat you grew in your fields. In exchange, they offer enchanted books, tools, bread, or maps. The act of trading is a connection. It is commerce. You give something you have worked for and you receive something in return. When a trade is successful, the villager glows with green particles, and the experience mends your tools. They gather in the village centre during the day to gossip, looking at each other and making their soft sounds. At night, they run into their houses and sleep in their beds. To live near a village is to be a guardian. You build walls to protect them. You light up their streets. In return, they offer you the feeling of being a mayor, a protector, a part of a living, breathing world that continues even when you look away. The emerald in your hand glinted green, a currency of friendship and progress. Held within the palm of your hand, this currency of friendship glows with a deep, verdant luster. We focus now on the emerald. While diamonds are the cold, hard promise of tools, the emerald is the warm, beating heart of society. Visually, it is a perfect gem, cut with a rectangular face that catches the digital light, reflecting a mesmerizing, vibrant green. You might find them in the high mountains, hidden deep within the stone, a rare geological surprise that rewards the climber. But their true home is in the exchange. Hold the emerald up to the sunlight in your mind's eye. It is the colour of life, of moss, of the deepest forest canopy. When you trade with a villager, passing them your wheat or your paper, and they hand you this gem, there is a distinct high-pitched chime, a sound of satisfaction, a ding of progress. It is a clean, positive sound. Collecting them feels like gathering luck itself. You stack them in your chest, a pile of green jewels that represents your standing in the community. You're no longer just a survivor scraping by. You're a wealthy patron, a merchant of the plains. The emerald does not make a sword or a pickaxe, it makes connections. It buys the bread, the map, the enchanted book. It is the symbol of a world that has moved beyond mere necessity into the realm of commerce and mutual aid, a shining green token that bridges the gap between you and the quiet people of the village. Wandering the paths of this village, you hear a sound that is heavy, rhythmic and metallic. Clank, clank, clank. You turn to see the guardian of this peace, the iron golem. He's a massive construct, a gentle giant built of iron blocks and a pumpkin head, standing head and shoulders above everything else. His arms are long and swing almost to the ground, suggesting immense weight and power. Vines drape over his iron shoulders, suggesting he has stood watch for a very long time, allowing nature to grow upon him. He is the ancient protector. Despite his intimidating size, there is a profound softness to the iron golem. Watch him as he lumbers through the village streets. He is not aggressive, he is watchful. He stops to look at the villagers with his glowing red eyes, and then, in a moment of unscripted beauty, he extends a long iron arm. In his hand he offers a bright red poppy. It is a gesture of pure innocence. The machine has a soul. He offers the flower to the children of the village, a silent promise that he will keep the zombies at bay, that he will stand between the soft flesh of the living and the hard claws of the night. To stand near him is to feel safe. He is a walking wall, a fortress that moves. You can build one yourself, assembling the T-shape of iron and placing the pumpkin, sparking life into metal. It is the act of creating a friend, a silent, loyal bodyguard who asks for nothing but the privilege of patrol. Scampering around the feet of this iron giant, moving with a fluid grace that contrasts with the blocky world, are the cats. Perhaps you found one in a jungle, a shy ocelot hiding in the cocoa beans, or perhaps it was a stray wandering the village fences. These creatures are the embodiment of domestic agility. They come in many coats, the tuxedo black and white, the soft grey tabby, the Siamese with its chocolate points, the calico with its patches of orange. To tame a cat is a lesson in stillness. You cannot chase them. You must stand perfectly still, holding a raw fish, and let them come to you. They creep forward, low to the ground, cautious and curious. When the hearts appear and the collar forms, you have gained a shadow. Listen to the sound they make, a soft, vibrating purr that rumbles through the speakers. It is the most soothing sound in the game, a frequency designed for relaxation. They follow you home and, With typical feline arrogance, they jump onto your bed or sit directly on top of the chest you need to open. It is a charming inconvenience, but their presence brings a tangible safety. The green, hissing creepers are terrified of them. Watch a creeper turn and run from your tiny, fluffy companion. The cat is a spiritual shield, a purring ward that keeps the most explosive worries at bay, curling up at the foot of your bed to watch over your dreams. In the backyard of the village houses, or roaming wild in the forests, you find the humble, clucking chickens. They are small, plump white birds with red wattles and orange beaks. They wander aimlessly, pecking at the ground, driven by a simple, randomized desire to exist. Their sound is a gentle, bubbling cluck, a conversational noise that fills the farmyard with life. But the chicken possesses a secret physics, a dreamlike quality that defies gravity. If a chicken falls from a cliff, it does not plummet. It flaps its wings frantically, descending slowly, gently, like a parachute made of feathers. It glides. This feather falling is a visual meditation. Watch a chicken float down from a high tree, landing without a sound, completely unharmed. It suggests a world where the air is thicker, where gravity is kind. And from these birds come feathers. You find them floating on the grass, shed naturally. A feather in your inventory is a symbol of lightness. It is used to craft the book and quill, connecting the bird to the act of writing. It is used to craft arrows, connecting the bird to flight. Holding a feather feels soft. It is a whisper of an item, a reminder of the gentle descent, the slow drift, the soft landing. From the small and fluttering, we look to the majestic and powerful. Galloping across the open plains, mane flowing in the wind, is the horse. These are noble creatures, generated in a variety of patterns: creamy white, chestnut brown, dappled grey, buckskin. They stand tall, their heads held high, tossing their manes with a spirited whinny. Approaching a wild horse is a dance of trust. You must mount them, empty-handed. They will buck you off. You try again. They buck you off. You try again. It is a cycle of patience. And then the hearts appear. The horse accepts you. You are now a rider. But to control this beast, you need a saddle. Once saddled, the horse becomes an extension of your will. The sensation of riding is one of exhilaration. You're faster now. The ground blurs beneath you. You can jump and a bar fills up, a charge of power, launching you and the horse high over fences and ravines. You feel the rhythm of the hooves, a triplet beat, gallop, 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 that eats up the miles. You can equip them with armour, gold, iron or diamond, turning them into a warhorse, shining in the sun. But the greatest joy is simply the travel, the ability to race the setting sun, to cover vast distances of the procedurally generated map, wind in your hair, exploring the world from the height of a saddle. To feed your steed and to store the abundance of your harvest, you bundle your wheat into hay bales. This is a block of pure texture. Visualize the side of the bale, the yellow stalks of wheat packed tightly together, bound by a distinctive red band that wraps around the centre. It looks rustic, autumnal, and incredibly cosy. You stack them in your barn or leave them scattered in the field. They evoke the feeling of the late summer, of harvest festivals, of a job well done. But the hay bale is not just aesthetic, it is the softest block in the world. If you fall onto a hay bale, the impact is absorbed. The crunch of the dry straw cushions you. It is a safety net. You can build great piles of them and jump from the rafters of your barn, landing with a soft thump instead of a crack. The smell of the hay is sweet and dry, a scent of sunshine trapped in stalks. Farming them is efficient. 9 wheat become 1 block, condensing your chests, tidying your inventory. A wall of hay bales insulates your animals, creating a warm, golden enclosure that speaks of preparation for the long winter. Surrounding your farm, your animals, and your home, you place the fences. These are the definitions of your domain. You craft them from sticks and planks, and when you place them, they visually connect. A single post becomes a line, A line becomes a corner. They snap together with a satisfying logic. The wood texture matches the trees of the region: rich spruce, pale birch, reddish acacia. The fence is a barrier that does not block the view. You can see over it, but nothing can cross it. It keeps your cows in and the monsters out. It creates a courtyard, a garden, a safe zone. And to enter this zone, you need the fence gate. The sound of the gate is iconic. A creaky wooden squeak click as it swings open, and a satisfying thud as it latches shut. It is the sound of coming home. Operating the gate is a ritual of arrival. You walk up the path, open the gate, step through, and close it behind you. You're inside now. You're within the boundary. The fence is the line drawn in the sand that says, "Everything inside here is safe. Everything inside here is mine." It turns the open wilderness into a garden, framing the chaotic nature with the order of carpentry. To banish the shadows from your fenced garden, you look for a light that is more refined than the primitive torch. You take your iron nuggets and your torch and craft a lantern. This is the aesthetic upgrade your home deserves. Visualize the lantern, a small glass-encased flame held within a dark iron cage. It looks sturdy, industrial yet classic, like something from an old railway station or a cozy cabin. The magic of the lantern is in its placement. You can set it on a table where it sits with a heavy presence, or you can hang it from the ceiling. When suspended, it hangs from a tiny chain, and if you look closely, it sways, a gentle, almost imperceptible pendulum motion, responding to the invisible air currents of the room. The light it casts is slightly brighter than a torch, a cleaner, more stable luminosity. It turns a stone corridor into a grand hallway. It turns a dirt path into a welcoming street. You hang them from the trees in your garden, creating a floating orchard of lights. The lantern is the sign of a builder who cares about beauty, who wants the light to be not just functional, but lovely to look at. It is a beacon of warmth encased in the strength of iron. In the centre of your outdoor sanctuary, perhaps surrounded by those hay bales and lanterns, you build a campfire. This is the ultimate symbol of gathering. It is not a raging inferno, but a controlled, decorative fire built of logs and coal. When you place it, the flames crackle with a sound that is louder and more textured than the furnace. It is a popping, snapping sound, the voice of burning wood. Watch the smoke. It rises in a lazy grey column drifting high into the sky. It is a signal, a marker that says, someone lives here. The smoke trail can be seen from far away, guiding you back when you're lost. But the campfire invites interaction. You can place raw food directly onto the logs, a potato, a fish, a piece of meat. You watch them cook, sizzling on the open flame until they pop off, toasted and ready. No menu, no fuel cost, just the heat of the fire. It feels rustic and communal. You imagine sitting around it on log benches with your friends or your wolf, watching the stars, the fire warming your face while the cool night air touches your back. It is the heart of the campsite, the oldest form of television, a mesmerizing dance of orange and yellow that lulls the mind into a trance. At the edge of the light cast by your campfire where the forest begins, you spot a bush covered in red dots. These are sweet berries. They grow in the taiga, hardy and resilient. The bush itself is prickly. If you walk through it, it snags you, a gentle reminder to watch your step. But the prize is worth the prick. You harvest the berries with a right click. Pop, pop, pop. They fly into your hands, small, red and juicy. You can eat them quickly, a handful of sweetness that gives a tiny burst of energy. You can plant them to grow a hedge, a natural barrier that protects your home with thorns. But watch out for the foxes. In the moonlight, you might see an orange fox creep out of the shadows drawn by the scent. It approaches the bush, opens its mouth, and gently plucks the berries, eating them with a series of quick crunches. It is a moment of pure nature documentary. The sweet berry bush is a foraging treasure, a snack for the road, a splash of red in the green and brown palette of the woods, offering a taste of the wild sugar that the earth provides freely. Drawn by the natural sugar of those red berries, your attention shifts to a gentle, vibrating hum in the air. It is a sound of productivity and peace, leading you toward the flower-dotted plains where the bees reside. These are not the small, stinging insects of reality, but large, fuzzy, benevolent cubes that drift through the air with a soothing, low-frequency buzz. Visualize their stripes of yellow and black, their translucent wings fluttering in a blur of motion. They are the gardeners of this world. You watch one descend upon a blue orchid, its body bobbing gently as it gathers pollen. When it rises, tiny particles of pollen fall from it, dusting the ground below, accelerating the growth of everything they fly over. Following a bee is a lesson in meandering. They do not fly in straight lines. They loop and drift, stopping to smell the roses quite literally. They lead you to their home, a bee nest hanging from the side of a birch tree, or a beehive you have crafted yourself. These homes are full of life. You can hear the activity inside, a muffled, cozy buzzing that suggests a warm, crowded house. The hive slowly fills with golden honey, the texture of the block changing, dripping with sticky amber nectar. It is a system of perfect harmony. They take from the flowers, they give back to the crops, and they return to their hives at night or when it rains, tucking themselves away until the sun returns. They are the fuzzy companions of the meadow, turning the landscape into a living engine of growth and sweetness. From these busy hives comes the liquid gold of the world, honey. When the hive is dripping, full to bursting with the work of the bees, you approach with a glass bottle. You harvest the nectar without disturbing the peace, filling the vessel with thick, glowing honey. Holding the bottle, you see the golden liquid sloshing slowly, heavy with viscosity. You lift it to your lips. The sound of drinking honey is distinct, a wet, sticky glug, glug, glug that sounds incredibly rich. It is the taste of sunshine and flowers concentrated into a single draught. But honey is more than food. It is a substance of unique physics. You can craft it into a honey block. Visualize a cube of pure, semi-transparent amber. It looks soft, yielding. When you walk on it, you do not crunch or thud. You stick. Your footsteps become slow and deliberate. If you jump against a wall of honey blocks, you do not fall. You slide. You drift downward slowly, suspended by the stickiness, a gentle descent that saves you from the hard impact of the ground. It is a tactile experience, a reminder of sweetness and friction. You can bounce on it, but only slightly, a heavy, dampened bounce. It traps items, it slows enemies, it preserves the moment. To build a room with honey is to build a space where life moves at a slower, more delicious pace, encased in the golden glow of the hive's labour. Along with the honey, the bees provide the structural wax of the honeycomb. You harvest this with shears, snip, and receive the hexagonal lattice of their home. This wax is the key to a softer, more intimate kind of light, the candle. You combine the string of a spider with the wax of a bee to create these slender sticks of potential illumination. They are not the industrial iron of the lantern or the primitive wood of the torch. They are elegant and ritualistic. You place a candle on a table. It stands small and unlit. You need a flint and steel to wake it. Fsh! A tiny flame appears. It is a smaller light, a whisper of fire that flickers gently. You can cluster them. 1, 2, 3, 4 candles on a single block. As you add more, the light grows stronger, creating a centerpiece of warmth. You can dye them, just like the wool, creating tall tapestries of coloured wax, red for romance, green for nature, black for mystery. Imagine a room lit only by candles. The shadows are long and soft. The atmosphere is hushed. It feels like a sanctuary, a place for enchanting or quiet reading. The candle brings a sense of ceremony to your home, transforming a simple wooden table into an altar of peace, the wax slowly melting but never disappearing, an eternal flame of comfort. Leaving the warm, candlelit interior, you feel the call of the ocean breeze. You walk until the grass turns to sand and the land meets the vast blue sea. Here, on the sun-baked beaches, you find the turtles. They are flat green discs of patience, shuffling slowly across the sand. Their movement is not hurried. They heave themselves forward with a scraping sound of flippers on grit. They are the elders of the coastline. If you watch them long enough, you might witness the miracle of their life cycle. A turtle lays eggs in the sand, small speckled clusters that look like sea stones. You must protect them. You wait through the night, guarding them from the zombies who seek to trample them, and then, under the light of the moon, the ground shifts, the eggs crack, pop. Tiny miniature turtles emerge. They're impossibly small, scurrying toward the water with frantic determination. As they grow, they shed their old shells, dropping a material called a scute. This is the gift of growing up. You gather these green scales, smooth and hard, smelling of salt water. You can craft them into a turtle shell helmet. When you wear it, the water accepts you. You can hold your breath longer, you see clearer. It is a helmet of hydrodynamics, a gift from the slow, wise creatures of the beach that allows you to become part of their underwater world. Slipping into the water with your new shell, you descend into the blue. The ocean floor is not a barren wasteland. It is a swaying forest of kelp. These are massive ribbons of green plant life that grow from the gravel bottom all the way to the surface. They stand in dense columns, creating an underwater jungle. The kelp sways with the current, a mesmerizing, undulating dance that makes the water feel alive and moving. Swimming through a kelp forest is like flying through a slow-motion dream. The stalks brush against you, obscuring your vision and then revealing the open water again. Sunlight filters down from the surface, creating shafts of light that pierce the green canopy. You can break the kelp instantly, pop, and it floats to the surface. You gather it, drying it in your furnace to create food or fuel, but in its living state it is a source of oxygen and verticality. It connects the deep, dark ocean floor with a bright, airy surface. You can use the kelp stalks as a natural elevator, placing soul sand at the bottom to create a bubble column that shoots you upward through the leaves, a rush of water and bubbles that carries you from the depths to the air in seconds. Further out, in the warmer oceans, the seafloor erupts into a kaleidoscope of colour. You have found a coral reef. This is the most vibrant biome in the entire world, hidden beneath the waves. The grey stone is replaced by blocks of pink, blue, purple, red, and yellow. There are fans of coral waving on the walls, and massive branching structures that look like petrified trees of neon. The visual impact of a coral reef is startling. It is a painting made of biology. The water here looks brighter, more turquoise. You swim over brain coral, bubblegum pink and textured with maze-like grooves. You drift past tube coral, blue and porous. It is a fragile beauty. If you break the coral without a gentle touch, or if it touches the air, it turns grey and dies. It demands to be kept in the water, in its element. You can harvest it with a silk touch tool, bringing these splashes of colour back to your own aquarium. The reef is a bustling city of sea life, a dense, chaotic, beautiful mess of shapes and hues that proves the world below the surface is just as rich as the world above. Darting among the coral, playing in the wake of your boat, are the dolphins. They are sleek, grey torpedoes of joy. They do not just swim, they perform. They breach the surface, jumping in perfect arcs, splashing back down with a playful noise. They chatter and squeak, a language of clicks that echoes in the water. Dolphins are the guides of the ocean. If you feed them a raw fish, they will lead you to buried treasure, swimming fast and stopping over a shipwreck or a ruin. But their greatest gift is their energy. When you swim near a dolphin, you feel a surge of speed. The dolphin's grace. Suddenly the resistance of the water vanishes. You're swimming as fast as a boat, cutting through the waves, flanked by your grey companions. It is a feeling of pure freedom and synchronization with nature. You are part of the pod. They circle you, nudging you, reminding you that the ocean is not a place of fear, but a playground. To swim with dolphins is to feel the weightlessness of the sea and the unburdened happiness of a creature that lives to play. Drifting deeper, past the playful dolphins, the light begins to fade, and you encounter the ancient ruins of the deep. Here, amidst the drowned stones, you might find a trident. This is the weapon of the Sea Kings. It is a large, three-pronged spear, teal and blue, humming with the power of the tides. Holding it in your hand, you feel a connection to the storms. The trident is unique because it is heavy yet aerodynamic. You can thrust it like a spear, but its true beauty is in the throw. You pull back, aiming, and release. Whoosh! It cuts through the water or the air with immense force. If enchanted with loyalty, a magical tether binds it to you. You throw it, it strikes its target, and then, defying gravity, it turns and flies back to your hand. Schwing! It returns with a satisfying snap. It is a boomerang of the gods. If the rain is falling and you have the riptide enchantment, the trident becomes a vehicle. You throw it and your body follows. You're launched into the sky, flying through the rain, spinning like a corkscrew. You become a bird, a fish, a master of the elements, darting through the clouds and diving back into the sea, propelled by the mythic power of this ancient tool. To truly live in this underwater realm, to banish the need for air, you must construct the heart of the ocean, the conduit. This is the ultimate synthesis of nature and magic. You gather the nautilus shells, beautiful spiraling fossils held by the drowned, and the heart of the sea, a rare blue gem found in buried treasure chests. You combine them to craft a small pulsing cube, but the conduit is inactive on its own. It requires a frame. You build a cage of prismarine around it, blocks of sea green stone that shift colour slowly. When the structure is complete, the conduit awakens. It opens like an eye. It begins to spin. A beat starts. Thump, 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 the heartbeat of the ocean. The water around you becomes clearer, the darkness pushed away by a supernatural visibility. And most importantly, your lungs stop burning. You can breathe water. The bubbles on your bar stop decreasing. You're now an amphibian. You can live underwater, build underwater, sleep underwater. The conduit emits a soft blue power that sings to you, a constant rhythmic reassurance that you belong here, in the deep, protected by the magic of the sea. With the power of the conduit pulsating behind you, you turn your attention to the life that populates these reefs, the tropical fish. Unlike the uniform cod or salmon, these fish are a procedural marvel. There are thousands of combinations, some are flat, some are blocky, some are orange with white stripes resembling the clownfish, others are purple with yellow dots, or red with blue fins. They swim in schools, darting in unison, a cloud of confetti moving through the water. They are the butterflies of the ocean. You can catch them in a bucket. Now you hold a bucket of tropical fish. You have captured a tiny piece of the reef. You can take them home and release them into your own pond or tank. Watching them swim is hypnotic. They have no agenda. They simply exist to add colour and motion to the blue void. They turn, they glide, they pause. Their scales catch the light of the sea pickles. They are the silent, colourful inhabitants of your underwater dreams, small reminders that the world is capable of endless variation and surprising beauty. Drifting away from the vibrant, sun-drenched reefs, you follow a current that pulls you inland, carrying you deep beneath the earth into the cool subterranean aquifers. Here, in the clay-lined pools of the lush caves, you encounter a creature that seems born of pure whimsy, the axolotl. Visualize this small amphibious friend. It moves with a wiggle, a splash of pink, gold, cyan, or rare blue against the dark water. It has a permanent smile, wide and innocent, with external gills that flutter like tiny pink feathers on the side of its head. The axolotl is the fiercest predator of the deep, yet it asks only for your friendship. You can scoop it up gently in a bucket. Now you hold a bucket of axolotl. It peers out at you from the water, a portable companion that you can carry to your own ponds. When released, it darts around, hunting the glowing squids or guardians with surprising speed. But its most magical trait is its resilience. If it gets hurt, it does not perish. It plays dead. It floats motionless, tilting to the side while golden particles of regeneration swirl around it. It is healing itself, resting in the midst of chaos, only to spring back to life moments later, fully restored. To swim with an axolotl is to be accompanied by a spirit of eternal optimism, a creature that teaches you that no matter the damage, you can always pause, float for a moment, and recover your strength. In the same deep, dark waters where the axolotl hunts, you notice a soft, pulsating luminescence drifting in the blackness. It is the glow squid. Unlike the ordinary squid that roams the surface, this creature is a marvel of the deep earth. Its skin is a vibrant neon teal that seems to emit its own light, unaffected by the shadows of the cave. It moves with the same lazy rhythmic pulse of its surface cousins, tentacles pushing back, body gliding forward, but it leaves a trail of sparkling stars in its wake, like a comet moving through the liquid void. Watching a glow squid is hypnotic. It does not seek you out. It does not flee. It simply exists to be beautiful in the dark. It is a living lantern of the abyss. When it vanishes, it leaves behind a glowing ink sac. This ink is the essence of visibility. You take it to your signs, the wooden boards where you have written messages to yourself or others. You apply the ink and the text suddenly ignites. It glows with a bright electric outline, legible even in the darkest night. It turns your words into neon signs, permanent markers of your presence that cut through the gloom. It allows you to frame your items in glowing frames, highlighting your treasures with a halo of light. The glow squid is the silent artist of the underwater caves, providing the tool to make your voice shine in the darkness. Following the faint light of the squid, you tunnel into the cave wall and your pickaxe strikes something different. Clink. It is not stone. It is smooth, white calcite, surrounded by dark tuff. You break through this outer shell and a sound greets you, a musical chime, like wind blowing through crystal chandeliers. You have breached an amethyst geode. You step inside. The room is spherical, a hidden pocket of magic enclosed in the earth. The walls are lined with purple crystals, amethyst blocks. The light here is dim and violet, but it is the sound that captivates you. Walking on amethyst is not like walking on stone or dirt. Every footstep produces a tinkling melodic sparkle. Ching, ching, ching. It is as if you were walking on bells. Growing from the blocks are clusters of amethyst crystals, jagged and beautiful. They emit a faint light. You harvest them carefully. The shards shatter with a crisp, glass-like sound. Holding an amethyst shard, you feel the sharp, geometric perfection of the gem. It represents the hidden beauty of the world, the secret jewels tucked away behind layers of boring rock, waiting for the patient miner to reveal their song. With these purple shards in your pocket, you return to the surface, where the sun warms the earth. You seek a metal that changes with the passage of time, copper. You find the ore in veins of orange and green, a bright metallic contrast to the grey stone. When you smelt it, you get a copper ingot, a heavy bar of reddish gold metal. It looks warm, industrial and conductive. You build a roof of copper blocks. At first, it is a brilliant, shining penny orange. It catches the sun, gleaming with newness. But this world has a memory. As the days pass, many, many days, the copper begins to breathe. It reacts to the air and the rain. Slowly, subtly, spots of green appear. The orange dulls. Over time, the entire roof transforms into a majestic verdigris, a pale seafoam green that speaks of history and endurance. If you wish to freeze time, you can wax the copper with honeycomb, sealing its colour forever. But there is beauty in the aging, and from this metal, you craft the lightning rod. You place it on the highest peak of your roof. When the storm comes, When the thunder rolls and the sky turns grey, you are safe. The lightning strikes the rod with a crackle of energy, diverted harmlessly away from your wooden walls. It is the technology of protection, a grounding wire that tames the fury of the sky. Now, you sit at your crafting table and combine the purple lens of the amethyst shard with the orange tube of the copper ingot. You create a spyglass. This is the tool of the observer. You hold it to your eye and the world rushes toward you. The square vignette narrows your vision, blurring the periphery, focusing your entire consciousness on a single distant point. You look out the window, that green blur on the horizon. Through the glass, it becomes a distinct tree. That moving dot on the mountain, it becomes a sheep. The spyglass allows you to be present in places you are not. It creates a sense of intimacy with the far-off world. You can study the patterns of the birds without startling them. You can check the village for safety without leaving your tower. It is a tool for quiet contemplation, for admiring the landscape from a distance. The sound of using it is a sliding metallic click as the tube extends, a tactile signal that you're entering observation mode. It turns the vast, overwhelming infinite map into manageable, beautiful details, framed in copper and crystal. Through the lens of your spyglass, you look up toward the jagged peaks that pierce the clouds. There, standing on a ledge that seems impossibly narrow, is the goat. These are the masters of the high altitude. They are shaggy, white creatures with curved horns and a beard that wags as they move. They do not just walk, they leap. Watch a goat jump. It crouches low, gathering potential energy, and then launches itself high into the air, clearing fences and gaps with ease. They are the spirit of the mountain, unbothered by gravity or vertigo. They chew the sparse grass of the cliffs, adding a bleating sound to the wind. Occasionally they are mischievous. If you stand too close to the edge, a goat might lower its head and charge, ramming you with a sudden punt. It is a reminder to respect their territory, but they also offer a gift, the goat horn. If a goat rams a tree, it might drop a horn. You pick it up, you raise it to your lips. Blah! A deep resonant sound echoes across the valleys. It is a war horn, a call to assembly, a sound of Vikings and ancient days. Blowing the horn feels powerful, a way to announce your presence to the mountains, a sound that carries for miles, claiming the peaks as your own. But the mountains hold a silent danger, a trap laid by the cold itself. You step onto what looks like snow, but your feet sink. You're standing in powder snow. It is not solid. It is a fluff, a cloud of frozen particles that cannot support your weight. You sink deeper until the snow is above your head. The world changes. The sounds are muffled, dampened by the white drift. And then the frost begins. A vignette of ice crystals forms at the edges of your vision, creeping inward. You start to shiver. The cold is a physical force here. It is frightening, yet peaceful in its absolute silence. But there is a simple solution, a way to master the element. You wear leather boots. With these humble shoes, the physics change. You step onto the powder snow, and you do not sink. You walk on top of it, light as a feather. You can even run up slopes of powder snow, using the snow itself as a ladder. It is a feeling of mastery over the environment. You're walking on clouds, supported by the warmth of leather, immune to the freezing trap, traversing the treacherous white peaks with the lightness of a winter spirit. Descending from the snowy heights, back to the green plains, you encounter a traveller who has no home, only a path. It is the wandering trader. You hear him before you see him, a nasal, questioning, That sounds different from the villagers. He wears robes of royal blue and gold, distinct and foreign. He leads 2 llamas on leashes, beasts of burden adorned with colourful carpets. The trader appears randomly, a surprise guest near your home. He is not permanent. He stays for a few days, offering exotic items from distant biomes, coral from the warm seas, ice from the cold north, seeds from the jungle. He is the courier of the world's variety. At night, to protect himself from the zombies, he drinks a potion and becomes invisible. You only see the floating leads and the llamas. It is a bit of magic, a survival trick of the road. He represents the transient nature of life. He arrives, he offers his wares, and then he wanders off, disappearing into the horizon. He reminds you that you are part of a larger economy, a world where goods travel thousands of blocks to reach you. Even if you buy nothing, his presence is a colourful event, a visiting carnival of one. Among the wares of the trader, or perhaps found on a journey to the humid bamboo jungles, is the bamboo stalk. This is the fastest growing plant in the world. You plant a single shoot. It looks like a small green stick. You blink, and it is taller. You sleep, and it is a tower. Bamboo grows in straight vertical lines, creating dense walls of green canes. When you hit bamboo, it breaks instantly. Clack, clack, clack. The entire column falls. It is the most satisfying harvest, but its true power is in construction. You weave the bamboo into scaffolding. This is the builder's elevator. You place a block of scaffolding, and you can click on it to stack more higher and higher without moving. You step inside the lattice structure. You hold the jump button, and you ascend effortlessly, climbing the trellis like a ladder made of air. When you're done building your roof or your tower, you go to the bottom. You break the single base block. Crash. The entire tower of scaffolding rains down as items. It is the ultimate temporary structure. It leaves no trace. Bamboo represents speed and efficiency, the ability to reach the sky in seconds and clean up in an instant, leaving the landscape pristine. Living within these dense bamboo forests is the gentle giant of the jungle, the panda. They are large black and white bears, rotund and soft. Unlike the other mobs, pandas have distinct personalities. Some are aggressive, some are lazy, some are worried, wiping their eyes with their paws, but mostly they are playful. Watch a panda in its natural habitat. It sits back on its haunches, holding a stalk of bamboo in its paws, munching on it with a loud, crunchy sound. Bits of green particles fly. It looks completely content. Sometimes, for no reason at all, a panda will somersault. It tucks its head and rolls forward, a ball of fur tumbling across the grass. It is an animation of pure joy. If you drop a cake near them, they will waddle over and eat it, prioritizing the treat above all else. They are the embodiments of relaxation. They do not hunt, they do not build. They eat, they sleep, they roll, and they sneeze. A sudden loud achoo that startles the baby pandas. To sit in a bamboo forest and watch the pandas is to understand that life is meant to be enjoyed, that there is always time for a snack and a nap. Leaving the playful pandas, you find a patch of dirt that looks different. It is coarse and dry. Coarse dirt. You shovel it up. But when you till it with a hoe, it turns into regular dirt. It is a subtle texture, a detail of the landscape. But in your hands, dirt is the beginning of the end. You start to pile it up. 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. Your nerd poling rising above the jungle canopy. From this height, you see the weather changing. The sky darkens, but it does not rain water. It rains snow? No, it is ash. You're approaching a volcano? No, it is the basalt deltas. We drift into the heat again, but this is a different heat. You step through a portal, back to the nether, to see the geography of chaos. The basalt deltas are jagged, chaotic landscapes of black stone and grey ash. The air is filled with grey particles that drift like dirty snow. The sound here is sharp, the crackle of fire, the distant ghast scream. But the stone itself, basalt, is beautiful. It is a pillar of dark grey, smooth on the sides, rough on the top. It forms natural columns, like the giant's causeway. You mine it with a heavy thud. It is a building block of industry. Polished basalt is slick and modern. It represents the ordered side of the chaotic nether. Walking through a delta is a challenge. You must jump from pillar to pillar, avoiding the magma cubes that squelch and jump around you. It is a platformer's dream, a jagged, broken land that demands your attention, contrasting the soft, rolling hills of the overworld with the sharp, vertical drama of a world torn apart by volcanic fury. Stepping gingerly from the jagged, chaotic basalt, your feet find a new texture, one that demands you slow down and surrender to the rhythm of the underworld. You have entered the Soul Sand Valley. The ground here is a vast, undulating expanse of brown, a texture that seems to shift and whisper under your boots. As you walk, you feel a distinct heaviness, a magnetic pull that drags at your heels. This is soul sand. It is not merely earth, it is a memory trap. Moving across it is like walking through deep water or a heavy dream. Your pace slows to a crawl. There is a strange comfort in this enforced slowness. The world is telling you that there is no need to rush. You sink slightly into the block, the brown faces on the texture watching silently. If you possess boots enchanted with soul speed, the sensation flips. You glide across the surface with a ghostly blue particle effect, skating on the memories, moving faster than the wind. But without them, you're forced to take your time, to trudge rhythmically through the valley. It is a place of fossilized remains, where massive skeletal rib cages of white bone arch over the landscape like the ruins of ancient leviathans. Standing beneath these white arches, surrounded by the blue fog of the valley, you feel small and protected, a traveller passing through the boneyard of giants in a hush of reverent silence. In this valley of brown and bone, you strike your flint and steel against the soil, expecting the familiar orange burst of flame. Instead, the fire that erupts is a brilliant hypnotic turquoise. This is soul fire. It is the signature light of the spirits. Visually, it is one of the most arresting sights in the dimension, a cool electric blue dancing against the dark red and brown backdrop. It burns with a lower light level than normal fire, casting a gloomy, moody illumination that does not glare but rather glows. You watch the blue flames flicker. They are less aggressive, more mystical. You can harvest this fire by crafting a soul lantern. Imagine the iron cage of the lantern, but instead of the warm yellow candle, it holds this trapped blue heart. When you hang these lanterns in your home, they create an atmosphere of ice and magic. They turn a stone castle into a haunted keep. They turn a garden path into a moonlit walk. The blue light does not promise heat, it promises presence. It is a spectral beacon that pushes back the darkness with a colour that belongs to the stars and the deep ocean, creating a pocket of cool serenity in the fiery heat of the nether. Drawn by the warmth of the lava lakes that border the valley, you spot a creature that defies the harshness of this environment. It is the Strider. This mob is a walking contradiction, a frown on legs, red and shivering when on land, but peaceful and warm when in the lava. It wanders the magma oceans on two long, thin legs, dipping its toes into the molten rock as if it were a pleasant bath. To ride a Strider is to master the impossible surface. You place a saddle on its back. You hold a fishing rod not with a fish, but with a warped fungus, a teal mushroom dangling from the line. The Strider sees the fungus and moves toward it. You step off the solid shore and onto the lava. You do not burn, you're carried. The movement is a gentle bobbing oscillation. The Strider walks with a swaying gait, humming a low, gurgling sound. You're floating over a sea of death, safe and dry on the back of this gentle beast. It is the ultimate ferryman. The heat radiates up, but you are high above it. You drift past the ghasts, past the waterfalls of lava, gliding over the orange ocean with the casual grace of a boat on a calm lake. It is a journey of trust, relying on this strange, shivering friend to carry you to the other side. The Strider deposits you on a new shore, where the red of the nether is replaced by a lush, vibrant cyan. You have entered the warped forest. This is the garden of the underworld. The air here is filled with blue spores that drift like pollen in a spring breeze. The ground is not rock, but warped nelium, a turf of dark teal that feels soft and organic. Vegetation grows here in strange alien forms. Giant fungi rise like trees, their stems are deep purple, their canopies a thick mass of teal warts. It looks like a coral reef that has learned to breathe air. The atmosphere in the warped forest is uniquely calm. The music shifts to something slower, more mysterious. The hostile monsters of the nether rarely spawn here. It is a sanctuary. You can walk among the giant fungi, gathering the strange, twisting vines that grow upward from the ground. It feels like walking through a dreamscape, a place where the colours are inverted and the rules of biology are rewritten. You're a visitor in a blue twilight, a quiet observer of a forest that grows in the dark, thriving in the silence between the lava lakes. Hanging within the teal leaves of these giant fungi are natural lanterns, glowing with a warm, organic orange light. These are shroom lights. They look like glowing sponges, porous and soft. When you break them, they yield with a soft, squishy sound, dropping the block itself. The shroom light is nature's lamp. It does not need a torch or a switch. It simply glows with the bioluminescence of the forest. You gather them to bring warmth to your builds. Unlike the industrial glowstone or the manufactured sea lantern, the shroom light feels alive. It has a texture that mimics coral or brain tissue. Embedding them in the walls of your home creates a soft, diffused lighting, like sunlight filtering through autumn leaves. It connects the alien flora of the nether with the cosy aesthetics of a cottage. Holding one is like holding a warm, glowing fruit, a piece of the forest's soul that continues to shine long after it has been picked. The spores of the warped forest begin to swirl, creating a portal of particles, and you step through, leaving the heat of the nether behind. You emerge into a humid, heavy air filled with the scent of wet earth and slow water. You're in a mangrove swamp. The ground here is not solid grass, but a thick, rich mud. This is a place of density and roots. The mangrove trees stand on stilts, their massive root systems arching out of the water like the legs of spiders, creating a labyrinth of wood and water. You navigate your boat through the tangled roots. The canopy is thick, blocking out much of the sun, creating a permanent dappled shade. The leaves are a deep, waxy green. You can harvest the propagules, long hanging seeds that drop from the leaves. You plant one, and it grows slowly, extending its roots into the mud. It is a biome of connection, where the land and the water are indistinguishable. The mud makes a squelching sound as you walk splat, splat. It is a satisfyingly messy texture. You can pack the mud with wheat to make bricks, or dry it to make clay. It is the raw material of pottery, the wet clay of creation, grounding you in the physical, tactile reality of the earth. Navigating the shallow, muddy waters of the swamp, you encounter the small, stoic inhabitants of the lily pads, the frogs. In this world, frogs are blocky, adorable creatures with wide mouths and a slow, blinking gaze. They come in 3 colours: temperate orange, cold green, and warm white, depending on where they are born. Watch a frog sit. It is a statue of patience. It breathes slowly, its throat sac expanding and contracting with a subtle animation. Ribbit. It is a low, croaking sound that blends perfectly with the swamp ambience. Occasionally a frog will hop. It is a surprising burst of energy, a high arc that lands with a wet thud. They are useful companions. They eat the small slimes that bounce annoyingly around the swamp, snapping them up with a long, sticky tongue. Watching this is a moment of satisfying cleanup, but mostly, the frog is a vibe. It is a creature that is perfectly content to do nothing. It sits on a dripping leaf, watching the rain, embodying the stillness of the swamp. It teaches you that it is okay to just sit and breathe, to let the flies buzz by, to be at peace with the damp and the quiet. Drifting past the frogs, your boat bumps gently against a floating green disc, the lily pad. These are the stepping stones of the water. They grow flat on the surface, creating a natural bridge across the murky depths. Visually they are simple, a green circle with a small notch, but functionally they are magic. You can walk on a lily pad. It supports your weight instantly. You can sprint across a lake, hopping from pad to pad without ever getting wet. Placing a lily pad produces a light watery plop sound. Breaking one is a quick pop. They are fragile yet supportive. They break the monotony of the flat water surface, adding texture and life to the lakes. Beneath them, the fish swim in the shadow. Above them, the dragonflies buzz. A lake covered in lily pads looks aged and established. It suggests that the water has been still for a long time. You pause your boat to admire a flower growing next to one, resting on the serenity of the undisturbed surface. Deep within the mud and the roots of the mangrove, you find a material that is ancient and fundamental: clay. We have touched on it before in the rivers, but here in the swamp it is abundant. It is a smooth, grey substance, cool and malleable. When you smelt this clay, not into bricks, but into a solid block, it becomes terracotta. Terracotta is the colour of the earth baked by the sun. It is a warm, reddish-brown by default, smooth and matte. But the true beauty lies in the glaze. You can dye the terracotta and smelt it again to create glazed terracotta. These blocks are the mosaics of the Minecraft world. Each colour produces a different intricate pattern: swirls of magenta, arrows of cyan, mandalas of yellow. When you place 4 of them in a square, the patterns connect, creating a seamless, rug-like design. It is pure geometry. You are paving your floor with art. The sound of placing terracotta is a dull, heavy thud, the sound of stone that has been softened by fire. It brings a touch of complex culture and design to your shelter, transforming a dirt floor into a tiled palace of intricate, colourful beauty. In the centre of this tiled room, you seek a storage solution that is as aesthetic as it is functional. You craft a barrel. Unlike the chest, which requires space above it to open, the barrel is a solid cylinder of spruce wood and iron hoops. It can be tucked into a wall, placed under a stair, or stacked to the ceiling. The barrel is the container of the pantry. It looks like it belongs in a cellar, filled with apples and fish. Opening a barrel makes a distinct sound, a low wooden creak and a rolling noise distinct from the latch click of a chest. It feels rustic. You fill it with your supplies: stacks of bread, jars of honey, tools for the garden. The top of the barrel is a closed lid, a texture of wooden planks that fits perfectly with your floor. It hides its contents completely. It is the organizer's dream, a way to store thousands of items while maintaining the look of a cozy, well-stocked homestead. A wall of barrels looks like a merchant's stockroom, promising that you have gathered enough, that you are prepared for the winter, that your home is full and your needs are met. As the lid of the barrel settles with that comforting wooden thud, hiding your supplies away, you feel a desire not just to store, but to display. You wish to take the most precious of your tools, the maps of your journeys, and the artifacts of your history, and mount them on the wall for all to see. We drift now to the humble yet transformative item frame. Visualize a square of leather stretched over a framework of sticks, pinned gently to the stone wall of your home. It is a small, empty canvas waiting for a subject. When you place an item inside, perhaps a golden apple, a diamond sword, or a clock, it shrinks down, becoming a miniature icon of itself. It floats there, suspended against the leather backing. But the true satisfaction comes from the interaction. You touch the frame, and the item rotates. Click. It turns 90 degrees. Click. It turns again. You can angle your sword to point the way to the mine, or turn an arrow to indicate a hidden path. Imagine an entire wall lined with these frames, a gallery of your achievements. There is the first pickaxe you ever made, now retired. There is the map of the coastline, the parchment yellowed and filled with the intricate lines of geography. The item frame turns your inventory into decor. It allows you to externalize your memory, placing the physical touchstones of your adventure around you, so that even when you are resting, you're surrounded by the tools that keep you safe. From the small framed objects, we expand our vision to the larger canvases of culture. Paintings. You gather your wool and your sticks, and you craft a mysterious bundle of art. When you approach a blank wall, you do not know what image will appear. It is a moment of delightful chance. You place the painting and pop, a canvas unfurls. Perhaps it is the wanderer, a figure walking through a lonely landscape. Perhaps it is the skull on fire, a moody Gothic piece. Or maybe it is the Donkey Kong, a retro nod to games of the past. The art style is pixelated, impressionistic, and strangely comforting. These paintings add a layer of history to your home. They make the walls feel lived in, replacing the cold uniformity of stone with colour and narrative. And then there is the secret magic of the painting. Because it is an entity, not a block, it occupies space but has no collision. You can dig a hole in the wall, place signs to hold the painting up, and create a hidden door. To the outside observer, it is just a picture of a sunset. But you know the truth. You can walk right through the canvas, stepping into a secret room behind the art. It is the classic trope of the mystery mansion, brought to life by your own hand. It adds a sense of depth and intrigue to your home, a whisper that there is more here than meets the eye. Stepping out from your secret room, you enter the armory, where you seek to display the protective shells that have guarded you on your travels. You craft an armor stand. It is a simple, elegant sculpture made of smooth stone slabs and sticks. It stands on the floor, a wooden effigy of a person waiting to be dressed. There is a ritual to equipping the stand. You hold your iron chest plate and click. The wood is suddenly clad in metal. You add the helmet, the leggings, the boots. Slowly, the stick figure transforms into a gleaming knight. It stands guard in the corner of the room, a silent sentry that never sleeps. The armor stand captures the essence of a presence. In the periphery of your vision, it looks like a friend watching over you. You can pose it, shifting its wooden arms to hold a sword aloft or to salute. You can create a hall of armor, displaying the suits you have outgrown, the leather of your beginning, the gold of your nether travels, the diamond of your peak. It is a museum of your own survival, a way to honor the gear that took the damage so you didn't have to. Above the silent vigil of the armor stand, you wish to add a splash of movement and heraldry to your castle halls. You gather wool and a stick to craft a banner. This is the flag of your dominion. It stands tall, a tall rectangle of fabric that sways gently in the virtual breeze. The banner is not just a coloured flag, it is a canvas for intricate design. It starts as a solid field of colour, perhaps a deep royal blue or a stark warning red. But you can layer patterns upon it. A stripe, a border, a cross, a gradient. You hang these banners on the outside of your walls, and they snap and flutter in the wind. They mark your territory. Seeing a banner on the horizon tells you, I have been here. This place is claimed. You can mount them on shields, carrying your emblem into battle. The movement of the banner is hypnotic. It breaks the static rigidity of the blocky world with a fluid, cloth-like animation that breathes life into your architecture. To create these complex heraldic designs, you do not simply guess, you sit at the loom. This is the artisan's station. It is a wooden block with the texture of taut strings and a shuttle, the tool of the weaver. When you open the interface, you're greeted with a library of patterns. You place your banner in the slot, add a die, and then scroll through the possibilities. A border indented, a roundel, a globe. You can combine a creeper head or a golden apple with paper to create special patterns. A skull and crossbones, a brick texture. The sound of the loom is a soft rhythmic shh, the sound of thread being pulled tight. It is a quiet domestic sound. You're not forging or fighting, you are designing. You layer a black triangle over a blue gradient, then a white circle over that. You are creating a logo, a family crest. The loom empowers you to be a graphic designer in a world of cubes, weaving your identity into the very fabric of the game. Leaving the loom with your freshly woven tapestries, you move to the quietest, most mysterious corner of your home, the library. Here, surrounded by bookshelves, sits the enchanting table. This is the altar of magic. It is made of obsidian and diamonds topped with a red cloth, but the centerpiece is the book. Hovering just above the table is a book that is always open. As you approach, the book turns to face you. The pages flip on their own, rustling with an unseen breeze. It is alive with knowledge. You place your sword or your pickaxe on the table. Floating glyphs, the galactic alphabet, drift from the bookshelves into the table, powering it with the arcane wisdom of the surrounding literature. The air hums with a low magical resonance. You are offered a choice: sharpness, unbreaking, fortune. You do not fully know the outcome. It is a gamble with the universe. You pay the price in experience and the table glows purple, shimmer. Your tool is returned to you, now shining with an iridescent, enchanted glint. It is no longer just iron or diamond, it is imbued with power. It feels heavier, more significant. The enchanting table is the bridge between the physical and the metaphysical, a place where the mundane is elevated to the legendary. But sometimes, the magic is not what you wanted, or you wish to cleanse a tool of its past. You step over to the grindstone. This is a tool of industry and renewal. It consists of 2 wooden legs holding a heavy stone wheel. You place an enchanted item into the grindstone. You want to strip it to start fresh. The wheel spins. Grrrzt. It is the sound of stone against metal, a harsh but cleansing noise. Sparks fly, tiny yellow and orange particles cascading from the wheel. The purple glow of the enchantment is ground away, leaving the tool plain and clean. In return, the magic that was trapped inside is released. Tiny green orbs of experience flow into you. It is a recycling of the soul. The grindstone also repairs. You take 2 broken pickaxes, grind them together, and they merge into one stronger tool. It is the feeling of maintenance, of sharpening a dull blade, of taking care of your gear so it can take care of you. For the heavier work, for the repairs that require not just friction but force, you turn to the anvil. This is the heaviest block in the game. It is a solid mass of iron, shaped to withstand the blows of a hammer. When you place it, it lands with a deafening metallic clang that shakes the ground. It is a sound of absolute solidity. The anvil is where you name your things. You place your sword on the iron surface. You do not just want it to be a diamond sword. You type a name: Excalibur, Sting, Kindness. The hammer falls. Clang. The item is renamed. It now has an identity. You can also use the anvil to combine enchanted books with tools, a precise application of magic unlike the randomness of the enchanting table. But the anvil is not eternal. With each use it cracks. The surface becomes chipped, damaged. It shows the wear of its labour. It is a noble sacrifice. The anvil takes the beating so your tools can be perfected. Using it feels like blacksmithing, a loud, heavy, industrial process that results in a tool that is truly yours, named and forged by your own hand. When the anvil strikes and the grindstone spins, you are often rewarded with the essence of the game itself: experience orbs. These are the physical manifestations of your progress. They are small, floating spheres of yellow and green light that appear when you defeat a monster, smelt an ore, or breed an animal. Watch them as they scatter on the ground. They glow with a soft internal pulse, and then they notice you. They are magnetically drawn to your presence. They begin to slide across the floor, picking up speed, orbiting you for a split second before absorbing into your body. Ting, 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 ting. The sound is a delicate, high-pitched chime, like wind chimes made of crystal. It is the sound of reward. It is a dopamine loop given form. As you collect them, the green bar above your inventory fills up. This is not just a score, it is currency. It is the fuel for your enchanting and your repairing. Standing in a shower of experience orbs after a successful adventure is a feeling of washing yourself in light, gathering the scattered energy of the world to make yourself stronger. Finally, having gathered the resources of the earth, the magic of the books, and the star stuff of the nether, you construct the ultimate monument to your power, the beacon. This is the lighthouse of the gods. To build it, you must first construct a pyramid of precious blocks: iron, gold, emerald, or diamond. It is a display of immense wealth. On top of this pyramid, you place the beacon block. It is a glass cube containing a glowing, spinning crystal heart, a nether star. When placed, a moment of silence, and then shoom. A massive beam of white light shoots straight up from the crystal, piercing the sky, passing through clouds, reaching infinitely into the heavens. It is a pillar of light that marks your home from miles away. But the beacon is not just a light, it is a heartbeat. Stand close to it. You hear a low rhythmic thrumming, a deep wub 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 that resonates in your chest. It is the sound of pure power. You feed the beacon an emerald or a diamond, and you choose a blessing: speed, haste, regeneration. The beacon accepts your offering and radiates an invisible aura. As long as you are near it, you are faster, stronger, better. You can mine stone as if it were air. You can run like the wind. The beacon is the anchor of your world, a shaft of light that connects the bedrock to the stars, declaring that this area is under your protection and powered by your triumph. And finally, the beam of the beacon piercing the clouds leads us to the ultimate realization: the secret that lies at the very end of the journey, beyond the dragon, beyond the void, and beyond the blocks themselves. We drift to the concept of the end poem. When the final challenge is met and you step into the fountain of bedrock, the world does not simply fade to black. Instead, a conversation begins. Two voices, ancient and unknown, speak to one another in the scrolling text of green and blue. They speak of you. They speak of the player who has dreamed this entire world into existence. This poem is the profound heartbeat of the universe. It tells you that everything you have built, every block you have placed, every sunset you have watched, was a shared dream. It whispers that you're not just a character on a screen, but the consciousness that gives the world its light. It tells you that the universe is vast and infinite, and that you are a part of it. It says, "And the universe said I love you." It says, "And the universe said you have played the game well." It dissolves the barrier between the digital and the real, reminding you that the creativity, the patience, and the wonder you felt were real emotions transcending the code. It is a moment of absolute validation, a gentle assurance that you're not alone in the dark, but held by a love that spans dimensions. It suggests that this life, this waking world, is just another dream, and that to wake up is to realize your own power. The poem is a lullaby of existence, reading to you like a bedtime story from the stars, telling you that you are the daylight, you are the night, and you are the player who dreamed. And now, the scrolling text fades. The green and blue words dissolve into the soft, comforting velvet of the void. The screen in your mind's eye begins to dim, turning from the vibrant colours of the coral reefs and the bright glow of the lanterns to a soothing neutral grey, and finally to a deep, restful black. The music of the piano slows down, the notes spacing out further and further until there is only the silence between them. The world we have explored together, the mountains, the caves, the oceans, and the forests, begins to unload chunk by chunk. The sheep stop grazing and fade into mist. The furnace fire dies down to a cool grey ash. The beacon's light retracts, leaving the sky dark and peaceful. You're no longer the builder, you are the sleeper. The tool falls from your hand, the inventory is closed. There is nothing left to craft, nothing left to mine, nothing left to defend. You have done enough. Your fortress is secure, your crops are grown, and your animals are safe. Feel the weight of your body sinking into your own bed, heavier than the anvil, softer than the wool. The gravity of the real world pulls you down, not into danger, but into a cradle of rest. Your breathing mimics the slow tide of the pixelated ocean, in and out, rhythmic and automatic. The redstone dust of your thoughts loses its charge, the signal fading, the lights of your mind turning off one by one. The server of your consciousness is quieting down for the night. There is only the vast, empty, beautiful save file of your dreams waiting for you. You are floating in the void now, weightless and free, drifting toward a horizon of pure, uninterrupted silence. Let go of the controller, let go of the keyboard, let go of the day. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.